What's up, guys? It's your boy, Mighty.
And it's also me, the MMA Guru, back on the Mighty Guru Show. Today, we're going to be discussing everything to do with UFC 319. That comes down to the main event.
And we're also going to be covering how Guru wasn't the biggest fan of Khamzat Chimaev's victory to beating DDP.
And we're also going to be recapping all of the nasty highlight reel finishes, plus Dana White and the UFC's new $7.7 billion deal with Paramount Plus. We'll also be discussing the real fight that everyone wants to get into. We got to talk about Death Sentence versus Asakura. That's the one everybody wants to see us break down, and it starts now. He's out cold badly. John Jones' defense out of Demetrious Johnson there at the end. I am a piece of shit, but my content's really good. Try and look beyond how terrible of a person I am.
The Mighty Guru Show. What's going on, guys? This episode of the Mighty Guru podcast is sponsored by Prize Picks. Now, Prize Picks is a daily fantasy sports game you play directly from your phone. It's very simple. Go to your phone, download Prize Pick, use the promo code Mighty Guru. You play $5 and you're gonna get $50 instantly in your lineup. We came out with a W, taking away $1,200. Boys, you guys can get in the game and the action, make the picks at the right place, which is Prize Picks. And we're doing something special. We just did our pick for the NFL season, the whole entire season. You guys can make the picks too and watch how our picks do. And if we hit this after a long season NFL, we'll be cashing it at a beautiful $7,500. So guys, make sure you get your picks in at the right place, which is Prize Picks. Without further ado, welcome to the Mighty Guru Show. How you doing?
What's up, Dricus du Plessis? Wait, you're not Dricus du. I'm seeing Dricus everywhere. Sorry, Demetrious Johnson. What's up, man? How's it going? What's that you're doing now? I
call this milking the cow. When you get behind him and you, this is what Khamzat was doing to him. 531 strikes like this. I call it milking the cow like that. Just like that.
Yeah, little baby strikes. Listen, should we just kick it straight off and talk about what we just witnessed in the main event?
Let's get it, baby. Let's get it.
I'm heartbroken. I watched the empire I built for so long crumble live on pay-per-view in the main event. It was chaos in my live chat while we were watching it. It was a disaster for Dricus du Plessis. It really was. Khamzat Chimaev wet blankets him. There's of course another side of this that we're going to get into a debate on. But in terms of the impressiveness of his performance, which sometimes get lost in my emotion, the impressiveness of his performance, I mean, it was one of the most impressive title fights in a very long time. He completely dominated, and his grappling was incredibly effective. And he chucked around Dricus and just wet blanketed him. It was very impressive.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest thing about that, man, is that Dricus had no answer for the grappling. You know, I thought that Dricus could at least defend a takedown, you know, when he was fresher, right? Like, you know, he does sit up tall, right? He's not, you know, he doesn't lower his elevation. He's not the most elegant on the feet. You know, his agility isn't the sharpest, but I thought at least he would be able to defend a takedown. But every single time he would land in side control or half guard, pass guard, then go for the crucifix. And each time I got the crucifix, like, I always tell people, like, when you get somebody in a crucifix, that's like a check move. Like, you're supposed to, like, once Khamzat went for the key lock on the far side arm, he actually had Dricus move. Like, Dricus actually started to do stuff. But then once Dricus basically put his ear to his heart or his neck and those little strikes kept on going on, nothing was going to happen, right? Like, you heard Khamzat's corner say, elbow, bigger strikes. But I heard you say, like, he didn't want to land bigger strikes because when you have to land bigger strikes, you give more space to land. And when you get more space, it gives you more time to move. So it was, I wish Khamzat would have progressed more on the submissions, right? Like, go for key lock or pull him up, go to Kimura, or stuff his head between his legs and then have a head and arm triangle and then isolate that far side. But he just wrestled. Like DC said it best. It was basic wrestling, 2-on-1, block the knee out, get heavy, stay behind him, don't go seatbelt. It was very impressive, but it was very, 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 very basic in his skills. Like, I mean, it's very hard to do. But as far as like, it's not like everybody was like, oh my God, you see that technique? It was amazing technique. It was like, it's very, very middle school wrestling technique. It's like 2-on-1, heavy on one side, block the knee out, stay heavy, stay there the whole entire time. And I like what you said. I watch your content, Guru, believe it or not. I'm in your chat, lurking. Nice. I love what you said. You said that they're supposed to progress in the fight. If they're not progressing the fight in order to finish the fight, then you stand them up. But then where does it come a point in time where it's on DDP to be able to make the adjustments, right? Because if I get your back and I sit there and just do those milking the cow shot, DDP's not going to get knocked out. He's not going to get finished, right? It's basically, I don't want to call it stalling. It's basically a home base. I'm sitting here waiting. There's a couple times Khamzat was trying to swim for the neck, go for a neck crank, but the effort there wasn't really effort to finish the fight. Now, DDP part, he was trying to get the fuck up. He was trying to get up, hand fight, throw him. He was doing everything in his power to get out, but the only person who was progressing in that fight when he got it back was DDP. He was progressing to try to get out, where Khamzat was very content with just holding him there.
Yeah. Now, we need to clear up a whole bunch there, because what we're talking about is when we're critiquing Khamzat's performances, to someone who's just listening to that, they're thinking, what are they talking about what Khamzat needed to do more? But what we're discussing is that there's a whole narrative now was that a really, really boring fight to watch, which is what we're talking about when it comes to progressing and opening up more with some of the significant ground and pound strikes. But when it comes to the actual performance, if we're just analyzing the performance, I mean, Khamzat Chimaev had an amazing performance. I'm just clarifying that, because otherwise it's going to sound like Chimaev could have done more. But we're saying that with keeping in mind the fact that, including myself, that was a pretty dull title fight. But the reasons are why you said they are, because Dricus du Plessis couldn't escape. Like, he didn't have the wrestling ability to escape. I thought he was going to hit more of a switch now and then. He would maybe go for 2-on-1 himself and try and fight that. Maybe he would try and go for a bit of a Granby roll here or there. I thought there were more wrinkles to the wrestling game of Dricus du Plessis, but he tried to almost like Derek Lewis his way through this by just standing back up and just trying to back to his feet. But there was, in the lighter weight classes, there's a lot more intricate skill in the grappling that are going to prevent a guy like Dricus from being able to do that. So I do want to say that I was very shocked by Dricus du Plessis' grappling. Although it's because Khamzat Chimaev's grappling so good, I was shocked that Dricus had less choices to go to. You know what I mean? It's like he tried a few things, they didn't work, and then he just went, I'll just see if he's still around in round 3, 4, and 5.
Yep.
And it turns out Chimaev is, because he didn't have to struggle like he normally does. A lot of people are going to put the improved cardio of Chimaev down to this new training regime, and that might be something to do with it. But I think one of the big factors here is he was just catching his breath in the crucifix position on DDP. There was no like big struggle for Chimaev to try and retain control. That's where we've seen him slow down in fights before. And listen, maybe he has improved his cardio a little bit, but I just don't think it was night and day like that. I think the reason why he had such conditioning as the fight went on was because he just didn't have to struggle early. I feel like DDP, once he was on his back, there was no spring to him. He was just like, he was a heavy mass on his back. He felt like a bit of a heavyweight grappler out there compared to Chimaev, who is kind of working like a lighter man's grappling routine on him. But yeah, you mentioned it about the strikes of Chimaev. Very impressive performance. He's awesome, because I know there's heat coming my way if you don't say that enough. Okay? Chimaev, awesome fighter. Well, Chimaev, really, really impressive performance. Really, really impressive grappling. Brother, load up a little bit on some of the strikes. And that's one of the big problems that I think needs to be taken into consideration. When the stat people watch back your fight and they count up the total strikes and they count up the significant strikes, and they have 95% of your strikes being total strikes and not significant, that means they looked at 95% of the strikes from Khamzat and went, kind of nothing. And that's just a bad look, in my opinion. It really is, because that's what that tells me.
Yeah.
The fact they didn't even consider it a significant strike is like, you're in these dominant positions, and it's not like you're barely keeping these positions. If Chimaev could barely keep crucifix, I'm like, dude, you finally got to this position, keep it.
Yeah.
You know, don't risk losing it. But it's once you see the dominance across the rounds, and I'm like, dude, we've been on top of Dricus for 23 minutes here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, start opening up and loading up. And actually, and this is a crazy statement to say, try and hurt your opponent in a mixed martial arts fight. Like, go out, like, actually try and load up and hurt Dricus. That's the only thing that I think I'm allowed to say. I'm allowed to say, do a bit more. You know, let's really make this a combat sport. Yeah, 529 total strikes from Khamzat Chimaev. Impressive that he kept that busy. Only 37 were scored as significant because they were all just little tappy punches. Even in the crucifix, you mentioned it.
Yep.
If he would have opened up and like really brought that shoulder back and started raining down some elbows, he probably finishes Dricus du Plessis in the crucifix. Yep. But it was one of the first times where I've seen a fighter get to a crucifix and I've thought, oh, well, Dricus is safe for another 2 minutes.
Yeah.
He's going to like, yeah.
I agree with you. When he got to the crucifix here, I was like, you know, I'm going to read the chat. Nothing significant is going to happen here. Nothing big is going to happen here. Right. So I agree with you. And it wasn't Dricus's wrestling. I mean, obviously it was his wrestling, but it was mostly him not framing and using. I think the one thing that's unutilized in mixed martial arts is the knee shield. The knee shield and framing on somebody's hips. That's why you see a lot of good grapplers. When fighters fight a good grappler, they don't go to side control. They stay in half guard. Reason why they stay in half guard is because it's easier to control the hips. You can turn their hips a certain way. If you go to side control, I can frame on your neck and your arm so you can't punch. Then your arm is on my hip. Then I can scoot. I can shrimp my butt away, put my left knee in between us, give myself a knee shield, and then I put you in basically a purgatory. You can stay back. You can't hit my head. If you come forward, I can go underneath your legs and sweep you, or I can start looking for triangle. I go for Kimura. That's one thing Dricus didn't really utilize was the knee shield from that side control. He never framed. He kept on holding the head. And I'm not going to lie, I did it when I fought Brad Pickett. I held the head. Matt was like, that's fucking garbage. You're trying to keep him on top of you. You want to give yourself space so you can work. And then the crucifix, it's just like, you know, that's just a hard position to get out of. Like, once you get there, and especially a guy like Khamzat, he's long. I mean, he's a long body, so he's able to, you know, stretch his body out and just hold you there. But I think the hardest thing about this performance, and the whole world is pissed off. Like, my buddy just texted me. He goes, at the end of the day, man, he's just trying to win. The name of the game is not to be hit, but to, you know, take the least damage and just win the fight. And that's what Khamzat did. I just wish he would have progressed more with his jiu-jitsu. Like, you got there multiple times. If you get in trouble, you knew you get back there again. But, you know, he was able to beat a very, very tough Dricus. And, you know, I think Dricus gained more fans out of that fight than Khamzat did. I think Khamzat, if we're playing political side of it, I think Khamzat lost a lot more fans than Dricus did. Like, Dricus, like, everyone wants to see Dricus fight again. I think a lot of people are like, well, if Khamzat fights again, I know exactly what's going to happen. And I might skip out on that.
Now, yes, true. A lot of that. Yeah, very, very true. But I will say, I don't think Chimaev lost a bunch of fans.
You know,
I think the people that are fans of Chimaev, they're remaining his fans. I just think he didn't capitalize on the big jump in superstardom that he could have had. So I don't think he lost fans he already had, but I think he lost out on potential gained fans that he could have had with the spotlight of the main event of that pay-per-view.
Yep.
For du Plessis, I don't think it would have mattered ever. I think people, no matter what, if Dricus just eventually lost, people would all of a sudden come around to Dricus. Sometimes there's one of those fighters where it takes a loss from them for people to go, we like him anyway. You know what I mean? Now that he's done beating, you know what I mean? It gets like that. Even with Merab, I think if Merab loses, I'll be like, he was okay. And I'll kind of forget about him beating my Aldo and my poor Peter Yan and all of these other guys. But Khamzat Chimaev, yeah, you're right. I wanted to see him like progress in jiu-jitsu. Extremely impressive. Amazingly impressive to do that to a large guy like Dricus. And you were talking about the crucifix and how, you know, you think Dricus, Chimaev's body type is really good for that. The way he was sort of like getting his weight across Dricus. I think Dricus is anatomy was like the worst thing for him in those positions. Because when you think the majority of Dricus's weight is all in his upper chest, shoulders, arms. So he's like stuck in that part of his body. And Chimaev's putting his arm underneath Dricus between him and the mat. So he can't get any space away from Chimaev in that position. And then you got Dricus's gangly arms trying to tuck back in the legs of Khamzat to try and get out the crucifix. It was just Chimaev adjusted his grappling in a way that would work to control a muscle man like Dricus. I think if he did go for the back, that's where Dricus can stand up with Chimaev on his back and try some big muscle man moves to escape. Or if Chimaev tried to take mount, that's where Dricus can like big muscle man weighs up, get to his knees, just stand up and try and sort of topple Chimaev off the top of him, which is actually what we saw happen in the later rounds where Dricus did hit a couple sweet reversals and show that he had a little bit of something once Chimaev had slowed down just a tad. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird topic to discuss because I don't want to... I know how easy it is to seem like a casual for saying I have problems with Chimaev's style, but I do, man. I wanted a bit more out of Chimaev, man. I did.
It's funny you say that because I don't think it's a casual. This is my. We're gonna jump into that, right? Let's jump into that, right?
Let's jump into this.
I got a lot of heat. What I said last night. I said, guys, if you don't want to watch any grappling at all, jiu-jitsu, grappling whatsoever, you don't have to watch the event. For example, let's say, the Carlos Prates fight versus Geoff Neal, amazing. The Aaron Pico versus Lerone Murphy, amazing. And then even the MVP and the Kai Asakura, those fights were amazing. And let's say you get to the main event and you're seeing this, this grapple thing. It doesn't hurt to go like this. Fuck it. I got 4 out of 5. Beep. Go to fucking bed. I'm gonna get to bed early. You wake up in the morning, you jump on Twitter, you see he just out grappled them and went to a 5-round decision. You didn't miss nothing, right? If you are not a fan of the grappling, and I've been to multiple fights, and I've been there, and people are booing like, boo, boo. And it's like, guys, it's mixed martial arts. You don't have to watch it. You can go watch kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing. You're going to see a slugfest. One championship, they offer Muay Thai and MMA gloves. You're going to get that slugfest, right? For
Jonathan Haggerty versus anyone. You can get a slugfest, easy, yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes for me, depending on what mood I'm in, I don't want to watch Muay Thai and I don't want to watch kickboxing because they're just fucking beating each other up the whole entire time. I can appreciate the art of somebody just holding them and progressing, keyword, progressing to look for a finish in the jiu-jitsu. But if somebody's just going to sit there and hold them and stay in that home situation where you're not trying to do a seatbelt, put the hooks in, all that stuff, then I'll be like, okay, I'm good because you're not looking to progress, right? So I think people got to realize, okay, you know what Khamzat's going to do. If you're not a fan of what he's going to do, or you don't know if the person's going to be able to get out of it, then you need to, go into that mindset that it's going to be a grappling match. If you don't want to watch grappling, don't watch the fight. It's a very simple problem to solve, right? But the casual like, oh, well, DJ, I paid $79.99. I need to get... Hey, guess what, buddy? I pay $79.99 too. Do you think I give 2 fucks about all these commercials? I'll tell you right now, I don't. I don't want no fucking commercials. I know what the next card is going to be. I don't want to see it. But guess what? If I don't want to watch it, I get up and go get myself some chocolate ice cream. I hate chocolate, actually. I get myself some Haagen-Dazs ice cream. But
an example of something nice in your kitchen, of course. Anything would have worked there. You just had to come up with something. The one thing you didn't like. But there you go. But I agree with you, DJ, on this whole topic. But that's the situation, right, that we're in the sport. It's you said it's a mixed martial arts fight, and I was in the midst of chaos, DJ. I want you to know this. When I'm in the live chat, I'm in the trenches. We were at 27,000 live viewers for the main event, and that just shows you how big of a hyped up fight this was. This was one of the biggest fights in recent UFC history, going into it in terms of the anticipation. So I was in chaos. We were arguing. I'm not making it up. I'm not making it up. I'm not making this shit up. They avoid combat at all costs. You are a human. Get out of this combat sport. Get out of the combat sport if you don't want to be here. And then you came in and said it's called mixed martial arts. And I was saying, listen, mix them. Then mix them up. And then people are saying, if you don't want to watch wrestling, go and watch ONE FC or striking. If you want to watch just wrestling, There's just wrestling out there that you can go and watch. I wanted to see someone trying to proper fucking harm someone with some shots. I can't remember all of the topics that we were discussing here. I'm lost. There's so much to discuss on this. Oh, but I wanted to mention about the mixed martial arts thing. I enjoy Armand Sarukian versus Mateusz Gamrot.
Yeah.
Now you can counter that argument and say, but that's because, Armand gave so much resistance to Gamrot's attempts. That's why that became an entertaining fight. And that there's an element of that that's true. But I enjoy Moicano versus Benoit Saint-Denis. I'm losing my mind over the way Moicano is taking his back and really threatening a really close submission attempt. And, oh my God, it's in. And no, it's not. And now he's beating him up on the top position. I can enjoy all of that. But there's one thing I can't tolerate in this sport, DJ. And it's a known position that has come up a lot recently. When you're on a body lock on someone and they're on one knee down against the cage, like Dricus was in a lot of that fight, the whole thing was him standing up and then returning to one knee because Chimaev had brought him back down again. If you're on a body lock, tight body lock, and you're kneeing someone in the thigh from behind for a minute straight in a UFC competition, it's bitch move. That's bitch shit, right? In my opinion. And I know that Chimaev would fuck me up easily. And I know Chimaev is one of the baddest guys in the world. And Chimaev would probably turn into a fucking McGregor against Alvarez on me and hit me with a 4-punch fucking combination. Like, I know, I'm not saying, if I was fighting Chimaev, he'd be fucking up on a single leg while I'm hammering down shots. No. Yeah. I know he'd beat me up. But in my opinion, that whole position of around the waist, kneeing the thigh is just like, come on.
Yep.
I know we're not getting a finish here.
Yep.
We all know we're not getting a finish here. We're going to be here for another few minutes. And this is what some people in the community are championing to make I feel like a lot of people pretend to overly enjoy stuff to prove how hardcore they are. Like they'll look around and go, I'm actually really enjoying Esparza versus Namajunas 3. This is amazing technique on display here. Or, I'm really enjoying Adesanya versus Romero. No, you're not.
Yeah.
No one is.
Yeah.
But it's okay. You can appreciate, what I want to really get across is that you can appreciate the effectiveness on something while also thinking it's fucking boring. And one of the guys is fighting a bit lame, to say the least. I just hate the body lock, knees to the thigh position. And I think that's where Goddard should have stepped in, because there's some controversy around Goddard stepping in. I think he should have stepped in moments, but the moments that he stepped in were wrong moments.
Yeah.
I will admit that.
Well, it's, once again, we're going back to that fact that when that's a dominant position for Khamzat. I got your back. I'm kneeing your thigh, right? Dricus is playing that game. Khamzat had more options to do things. I have the body lock. I'm behind him. I could have turned my hips, put myself between Khamzat, Dricus, the cage, let go, 2, 3, knee, elbow, move. Like, he had more options to do from there, where Dricus didn't have many options, right? But once again, it's a stalling position. And you talked about it earlier in this conversation. Is Khamzat's cardio better? I have to agree with you. He was never in a position where he had to work, right? Those are resting positions where it's like, okay, I'm kneeing you. Not a lot of energy is being exerted. My heart rate might be 145, 160. Then when the wrestling starts going, or they start going there, he's behind him, milking the cow, 145, 160. And then when they started getting up, when DDP was starting to wrestle him and they had that back and forth, that's where the heart rate's probably 185, 195, where he's like, oh, fuck, because that's where I think when he fought Kamaru Usman he fought those takedowns. You saw him flat on his feet. He couldn't get the takedown. That's where I think Khamzat utilizes those positions where he can stay there and just rest. Don't get me wrong. Those knees to the thigh, they fucking hurt. It's not going to finish me. The only thing it's going to do is slow down my movement. But at the end of the day, it's going to slow down my movement on the feet, where Khamzat didn't want anything to do with him on the feet. So honestly, it was kind of counterintuitive. Hey, I'm going to beat up your legs so it slows down your movement on the feet, but I don't want to fight on the feet. I just want to wrestle you. So I can see how, like, I agree with you. It is fucking boring to watch that. If you're looking for a slugfest and you're looking for somebody to progress and knock someone out and submit somebody. On the flip side, there's appreciation that he was able to do it to a world champion that's beat Izzy, Sean Strickland, Robert Whitaker, and nobody else has been able to do them. So there's two sides of it where, like I said, you can appreciate it, but at the same time, when you're getting fucking lit, you got 27,000 people in the chat, you got your fucking Dricus Duplessis, you got the South African attire run, you're getting into it, and you're just like, this is fucking gay. This is straight fucking, this is lame. I don't want to see this.
Pathetic. Yeah. But that's the thing. I don't mind it if Chimaev was Mr. Humble and he was like a very like soft-spoken guy, I wouldn't mind it. But now next time Chimaev's saying, I kill everybody, but I got to kill everybody, I'm just going to like smirk and go, all right, buddy. You're going to have to prove it in this next one, okay? Because ain't nobody dying from any of those punches, pal, okay? Never seen someone, he genuinely, he was hitting Dricus, and Dricus, I swear to God, the whole fight was Khamzat Chimaev using strikes to mildly frustrate Dricus Duplessis into hopefully quitting. Yeah. That's what I felt like his game plan was. Like, none of the strikes that he really threw, even the elbows, were like trying to really badly hurt Dricus. It's like everything he did with the tapping shots was just for Dricus to be like, oh, fuck off. You know what I mean? When he was on the body lock of Dricus and he's hitting him in a few times, and Dricus just like, oh, fucking annoying me with these fucking punches. I'm trying to fight your hands here. Yeah. So I just feel like the whole approach of like, oh, I'm gonna annoy him to victory. I'm gonna pester him with uncomfortable, minorly annoying shots for 25 minutes. It was just a bit lame. But, very impressive from him. And that we need to harp on that. Very impressive from Chimaev. Yeah. I don't know who the fuck beats him. I don't know who beats him. They're
talking about RDR. I think the biggest thing with RDR, I feel RDR does have the grappling ability to nullify it, but he's got to stop the shot, right? Can he? I feel RDR length, how big he is, and his jiu-jitsu is really good. Like, he's got some great victories from one championship off his back from a reverse triangle. He's had grappling matches with the Rotolo brothers, so he's gone against,
snatched a lot of people up in like Dash chokes and anaconda chokes, and
he's gone against high caliber grapplers, Andre Galboa, the Rotolo brothers, so he would experience that type of style, but it's going to be that wrestling. I've taken you down. I'm in side control. You posture up. You go to your back. I'm on 2-on-1. I'm being heavy. I'm not gonna put my hook in. I'm just gonna ride you like a wrestler, crab ride wrestle you. That's where it's going to, RDR's gonna have to make those adjustments. And then there's the fighting nerd, the middleweight. I forget his name.
Baralho is fighting Amavov at Paris.
See, those two guys, I think the winner of that potentially could fight Khamzat, but I think it's going to come down to, I like Caro because I feel he's going to be crazy. I think he's going to go out there and just walk forward and kind of have that same type of style like Carlos Prates. Just kick in, just move. Okay, you're going to take me down. What are you going to fucking do? I feel he's going to bring that. Nasruddin, I'm not sure about him yet. Like, I know he just knocked out my boy Izzy, but I'm not too quite sure for him. But I think it's going to be those three guys that's going to be fighting them next. So we'll have to see what happens with those guys first.
I reckon it'll be the winner of Amavov versus Baralho. That seems to be where it's sort of like lining up to be. In that way, you would have Baralho Chimaev, who's a fighting nerd. So there's big promo there.
Yep.
Or you could have like Amavov versus Chimaev as well. I do agree with you. I think Baralho would stand more of a chance just because I see more layers to his guard game off of his back. I see more layers to some of the ways that he like scrambles. I know Nasruddin Amavov is good, but it seems like he's effectively found a way to just shut down people getting him down.
Yep.
And when you're going up against someone who's going to get you down anyway, it's like, okay, maybe Chimaev will struggle more to get down Amavov, and that could lead to some cardio deficit later on. But with Amavov, I just feel like, I watched Brendan Allen hold this guy in side control for like 4 minutes of round one, and he couldn't move. And then immediately when I was watching Chimaev versus Dricus and Chimaev has him in side control, I'm like seeing in my head, I've seen Amavov in this exact same position. Chimaev would probably do the same thing. So it's going to be really tricky to beat him. You mentioned RDR. I think if I'm not mistaken, Reina Derrida has trained with Chimaev before, which may be the secret advantage. Because I remember in the build-up of this, Reina Derrida was saying that he's trained with Dricus and Chimaev, and he was talking about how he actually thinks Dricus has got a really good shot. So clearly something has gone on when he has trained with Chimaev where he's noticed a few things like, you can work with this. So I think that's where the intrigue is around the Reina Derrida matchup. I hope I'm not wrong by saying that. Maybe Nick or someone can verify that there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be the X factor there with a Reina Dorita matchup where maybe, you know, he hasn't jumped up the rankings as much as a Mavov or a Baralho, but he's got a style that you could maybe somehow see. Like, I want to see how Chimaev deals with a good knee to the body as he shoots one of those takedowns. You know what I mean? Like something that's going to intercept him. It felt like everything Dricus did left options for Chimaev to go underneath. You know, there was no big move in that torso area of the fight for Chimaev to worry about as he shot in. Whereas I think Reina Dorita, he does better in those ways.
Yeah, and I also think RDR, he's fresh. Khamzat, I listened to the press conference. He said he's fresh. They have the UFC's returning back to Abu Dhabi, so maybe, you know, that might be what, 5-6 weeks from now. I'm not quite sure. I think it's in October. So maybe we can get RDR versus you know, Khamzat, that, and then the winner of Nasruddin versus Barrow they can fight, and you know, I hope they do that. Just because I think the biggest thing going to that fight against Dricus versus Khamzat is like, is Khamzat going to make it there? Right? Because he's had so many falling out and him not being, you know, healthy enough, but now he finally made it and it happened. So it's like, hey, he's here. Let's try to keep him active as possible before he gets sick. I saw him saying, like, I don't leave the house. If somebody's sick, I try to stay away from him. So his immune system seems to be very weak. So hopefully we can get him active and he can fight in Abu Dhabi against RDR. And yeah, I'm excited. But you know, I think all isn't lost. I saw a lot of people on the internet say, great, the middleweight division is dead now. We miss Izzy, we miss this guy. And I was like, don't worry. I think we're going to see some good, you know, if we don't look at his performance against Dricus and we look at all his past performance against, you know, Rob Whittaker, Kevin Holland, you know, everybody was like, oh, he's fucking he's amazing, da-da-da-da. I think he just came against a guy who's able to out-grapple Dricus, and keep in a position and not really, what's the word I'm looking for? Go for the finish. That's essentially what happened. But all in all, I thought it was a great fight, and I can't wait to see what he does next. Hopefully it's RDR or Nasruddin or Barrow.
I think it's something big, but I agree with you there with, you know, coming into a Dricus. I don't think Chimaev's a boring guy overall, you know, but what we saw is that if he doesn't get the dominance that he's looking for, he's happy to, he's happy to just he'll just do what it takes to win. Which is something to take into consideration. But I agree with you about the question about Chimaev was whether or not he was going to pull out. And I think the activity of Chimaev is what people are saying. The division is destroyed. You know, the fight style definitely doesn't help, but especially in that one fight with Dricus du Plessis. But when people are talking about how the division is destroyed, they're talking about, oh, we're going to see him next year in Saudi Arabia. And we can't wait for a year from now when Chimaev returns. I'll be honest, I'll tolerate Chimaev's style. I'll be kind of happy with Chimaev's style if, because he didn't take any damage, we can see him back in there in October. If we can get some real movement and activity in the division, I'll take that style of fight more often. It's just when I'm getting that style of fight and then thinking, a year from now I might see the same thing. There's just the anticipation isn't quite the same thing. But you know, Khamzat Chimaev, we know he's working on his central nervous system. You said, you know, he doesn't really like leaving the house. I think he's just more mindful. I don't even know if his central nervous system's that bad, but I think he's mindful now because that, you know, it nearly took him out before. So I don't know what Chimaev's got to do to work on that. Send him 2 or 3 years to India, forget.
He said, send his ass to India for 2 years and fucking forget.
2-3 years Indian street food, forget. He'll be fine.
Oh, God. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on. The co-main event. Okay. Lerone Murphy taking on Aaron Pico. I think Lerone Murphy is people got to start putting respect on the man's name. Right? Like, I think we get lost in, like, who's the true number one contender? Is it Mavzar? Who is it going to be? Is it going to be, you know, Brian Ortega? Like, we lose sight of that. But what Lerone Murphy was able to do to Aaron Pico with the fucking spinning back elbow and the slow motion of him falling, I think he should fight Alex Volkanovski next for the featherweight division, for the featherweight title, because it's something fresh. It's a new challenge. Nobody's ever seen, you know, him fight for a title. You know, we had, you know, you think about it. when we look back on Alec Volkanovski's career, all I can remember is him beating not beating the shit up, but beating up Max Holloway, beating Kareem Zombie, beating Brian Ortega, those guys. And those guys seem like they're always being recycled in that division, right? Like, oh, these guys are, the popular stars. And even Lerone Murphy.
Beat the contenders of yesterday.
Exactly.
Once again.
Yeah. And I feel like Lerone Murphy, he said it prior to this fight. He was talking about, I don't really play the politic game. I just come out here, I do my best. I'm undefeated. And I knock people out. But what does it take for me to get a title shot? I think he earned it that Saturday night when he knocked out Aaron Pico, because a lot of people were thinking Aaron Pico was going to come in here and just work him.
Did you think that? What did you think about Pico?
Dude, I feel Pico, he's been successful outside of the UFC, right? Beautiful knockouts, but he is very reckless when he starts to throw those hands because he's been knocked out like that before. A lot of people don't realize that. In Bellator, he got flatlined, and, he made the same mistake when he fought Lerone Murphy. And I always tell people, when you're fighting against the best of the best, Lerone Murphy's undefeated inside the UFC, right?
Yep.
He's fighting the best of the best. He's athletic. He's got great cardio. He's good everywhere. And my buddy at the gym was like, dude, you got to put some more respect on Aaron Pico. I was like, dude, Aaron Pico might be good, but when you go against somebody who's just as good as you athletically and he has the intelligence, everything's fucking even. You got to make sure you make the strategic move or do something. And he just made that one error where he went to the angle when Lerone Murphy's back was against the cage. He went to the angle without throwing any hands. He just went like this and ran right into the spinning back elbow. So I had Lerone Murphy winning that fight because I felt everybody comes into UFC. You look at it. Kai Asakura, 0-2 in the UFC. Pitbull, he's 1-1 in the UFC. Patchy Mix, 0-1 in the UFC. These guys who come to the UFC, their first time in there is a little bit flat-footed. So for me, I was like, I'm going to go with Lerone Murphy because I felt like also Pico, he hasn't been he's been active, but he hasn't. He's had surgery. I just feel he was kind of like, besides those knockouts of him, bop, and the body shot, I feel like, and those guys he did knock out, they weren't like high caliber guys.
They were like decent level regional guys, I would say.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, they were good record opponents. Like normally people in Pico's position wouldn't be fighting that level of non-UFC guy. Like he was fighting some guy, even though you don't know their name, they're 16-3. You know what I mean? Like they're not some 5-6 opponent on the regional scene that Pico's knocking out. Like he's not knocking out cans. He's knocking out some pretty good winning record experienced fighters. But yeah, you're right. I was fucking because everyone was trying to say Pico was going to win this fight. I don't know if you saw that, but everyone in sort of the know of the MMA scene were really trying to push the Pico win. And he actually became a favorite. Wow. Well, not became a favorite, but was set as a big favorite. And they nearly had Lerone Murphy at one point as like a 2-1 underdog here, which is, when I saw that, I went, oh, I'm picking Lerone. Because normally when I see that type of fight, I'm thinking, okay, well, Pico's explosive. I can see how his shape and power can cause a problem for Lerone. Just recently we saw him get dropped by Dan Ige, who's a similar, shorter, stocky guy. But I think maybe Aaron Pico's more aggressive and, athletic, maybe in the way that he moves. So I could see the argument for how he could beat a guy like Lerone Murphy. I can't see the argument for how you think he has more of a chance to win than Lerone does, or you think that he should be a favorite going into this. Like have we not learned about this? Stop giving the fucking Bellator guys the top dog in their debut. Not the top dog, but one of the top opponents they can find in their debut. I think one person you didn't list when you said about, the Bellator and the other division guys coming over to the UFC and not doing too good, is you didn't list MVP.
Yep.
Why didn't you list MVP? Because he got Kevin Holland in his debut.
Yeah.
And that's an approachable matchup on a card that can kind of be overlooked and not all the pressure on him in the co-main event of one of the biggest fights of the year, with Murphy versus Aaron Pico. But I do want to mention Lerone Murphy, one of the more underrated fighters in the division over the past few years. And it's because of the non-finishes that he's more underrated and they're not shit-talking. There's no viral shit-talking moment of Lerone Murphy. There's never been a backstage brawl with Lerone Murphy. So he doesn't get that sort of additional star power that some other fighter might get without doing the same level of body of work. But Lerone, I always thought he would win this fight. And I just think he's too tricky. And between Aaron Pico's finishes, I just saw a lot of things in his footwork where I'm like, I can always see, I'd love to watch. Let me see your decisions, you know? I see your finishes. The highlight reels are cool. I've been seeing them on Twitter. Let me see this guy's decisions. Because that's something that we know about Lerone Murphy because, okay, you can suddenly finish someone.
Yep.
You can land that shot and suddenly finish him. But in these lower weight classes, you're going to end up going to a decision eventually. You know, this ain't Ngannou at heavyweight where I don't need to say, let me see how he goes to a decision. Eventually, we find that out anyway. And at the time, he didn't do well against Stipe in the first fight. But with Lerone Murphy, I knew how good he could consistently be for 15 minutes. Like, there's only so much knocking someone out on the regional scene can tell me.
Yep.
Can you be better than someone for 15 minutes? Can you be better than UFC level competition like Lerone Murphy has been 8 times in a row?
Yep.
15 minutes after 15 minutes, they've all had an attempt to land that shot. They've all had an attempt to finish him, to switch him off. They've all had an attempt to beat him in any way, to take rounds off him. And he's kept ahead 8 times over, 15 minutes after 15 minutes, bar the Makwana Mirkani knee to the face. So he also has that ability to get a KO on top of that.
Yep.
I just thought it was too much. Like, there's more to be proven by someone consistently winning decisions in a way than there is for this guy that's just finishing everyone left and right, you know?
Yeah. Well, hopefully he gets the opportunity to fight Volkanovski because I felt sometimes even the guys who aren't as popular who are making those viral moments, let me see, negative, being an asshole to make a viral moment. Let's give the blue collar athlete, the guy who's working his way up the title, like Movzar, right? Like he's on like a 25 win streak and he still hasn't got a title shot, right? Let's not make the same mistake with Lerone Murphy. He's 9-0. Everybody remembers what he just did against Eric Pico. I think you use that, elevate him, and have him, Alex Volkanovski, fight in December. Alex Volkanovski already went on Twitter, says, hey, I'll see you in December. I think you're right on that. You make that, there could be a main event or co-main event, but I think Alex Volkanovski has enough star power that you make it a main event and let that ride because, I just don't want to see them not capture lightning in a bottle. Like, I think Lerone Murphy has earned this 9-0 in the UFC. Decision, finishes, I say you give it to him, right? And then Aaron Pico, they got to stop doing that. Right? I mean, but what do you do though? You bring in a high profile guy like Aaron Pico. They brought MVP in. You brought it up. He fought Kevin Holland. That was a winner. I think Kevin Holland could have won that match if he was able to get into the ground past his guard. I feel like it was a competitive.
He had a good second round. He nearly choked him out in round 2.
Exactly. So it was very competitive. But like when you give a guy like Kai Asakura, who's a world champion, to fucking the cannibal Alex Pantoja, and then you have who else? Pitbull taking on fucking Yair Rodriguez, who's very, very dangerous, very crafty with the feet. I just feel now, what do you do with Aaron Pico? Right? Like, he just got knocked the fuck out. I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if he has, this just brought it up. We have Charles Oliveira fighting in fucking 5 weeks. We're going to get onto that too.
We'll get onto that. We'll get onto that too.
But he's going to have to take 3 months off. No getting hit. I wouldn't be surprised if he has some retina damage because the way his eye was kind of stuck. Like the knockouts last night reminded me why I'm so grateful I don't fight anymore. I'm so glad I don't fight anymore because that knockout was fucking nasty. I don't know who you give him next. Maybe you give him a Movzar. Maybe you give him a Movzar because Movzar's not going to hurt him. Movzar's just going to wrestle him and try to choke him out. Give him somebody that's not going to be, a Dan Ige would be a great fight too. But we'll see. He needs to get healthy and rest up.
In my opinion, don't fucking give him Movzar next. I do want to mention that. But do give Lerone Murphy the title fight next. Let me make sure to speak on that because we veer away. But I give Lerone Murphy the fucking title fight because if he went out there and sort of stunk it up a bit, I'd say, you know what, Evloev's been inactive, but he is the next up, But now, when you get that, when you get Aaron Pico trying to have his Dillashaw footwork moment to the outside just to stand there and bang, get flattened with a fucking spinning elbow right on. And Lerone Murphy, he didn't throw the spinning elbow. Oh, I wonder if he'll walk into this. He saw him cut that outside foot position and went and wrapped it because he knew Pico was being so aggressive in that fight. Like, this guy ain't fainting at me and then clearing distance to see what I'm going to do. He's all over me. I need to throw some fucking big thing at him next time he comes in. And boom, he caught him with a spinning elbow. So you have to capitalize on that. Biggest fight card of the year.
Yep.
The main event was so anticipated. You probably had the majority of all MMA fans worldwide sat there watching their TV in the co-main event, waiting for the main event to begin. And boom, Lerone Murphy, a guy who normally does go to a decision, does what the UFC would want him to do. If the UFC doesn't reward this, what will you reward?
Yeah.
You put a guy like Lerone Murphy, who, you know, the UFC might have been critical of him before by not giving him top contenders by saying, this guy's a decisionator. This guy doesn't really give us the highlights that we want. He's not talking any shit. When you put a guy in that position and say, perform, and he gives you a flatline spinning elbow KO, what behavior are you going to reward if you don't reward that? You've got to reward that.
He's got to throw a dolly at somebody. Like, oh, you fucking die.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, what kind of dick pic does he have to send to get some preferential treatment? You know what I mean? But either way, give Lerone Murphy the title fight. Get him in there and get it done soon, because we got to strike while the fire's hot with Lerone Murphy, because he's going to be the talk now of the featherweight division. Nobody cares about what Evloev did a year ago.
Yep.
You know, that's how the division works.
Yep. And I think the good thing about him becoming, if he does fight Alex Volkanovski, and let's just say in a universe he beats Alex Volkanovski, he has a whole list of like top 5 or top 8 people he has not fought. Right? He hasn't fought Brian Ortega. He hasn't fought Aljamain Sterling. He hasn't fought, you know, I don't know who the top 10 are in the featherweight division, but I feel like he hasn't fought any of, you know, the main guys that get the opportunities to fight for the belt more often than the number 1 contenders do, right? So I like that. I like that storyline going in. And let's say Alex Volkanovski beats him, right? I think if Alex Volkanovski beats him, Alex retires, then you still have Lerone Murphy there who can work his way back up. And let's just say Elliott Depoirier, he was like, you know what? I like that fight against Lerone Murphy. I'll go down there and do a super fight. I just think there's just more options for sometimes when a guy who doesn't get that, you know, that spotlight, he becomes a champion. You have a whole list of athletes to fight, where you look at Alex Pantoja, he's beat the shit out of everybody already. So it's just him recycling. They have to bring a guy in from a different organization for him to clap, right? So I think I like that storyline. If, you know, he gets a title shot, and then if he beats Alex Volkanovski, he's got a whole list of things he can fight next. Yeah.
I will say, though, sucks for Pico. Looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, he looked like a capable fighter. It's not like Pico went out there and like, oh, he's just not on this level. Like, dude, he went out there. He scored some big takedowns on Lerone Murphy. He ripped some pretty nasty body shots, and he had Murphy in some shit early on. Like, he really made Murphy panicked. Like, oh my God, this is my big moment, and Pico's fucking fighting me like an absolute madman here in the first round. But the thing is with Pico is, dude, he was so aggressive in this fight, and he walks forward so much. You have to feint everything in MMA.
Yep.
You have to feint it's not just your strikes. You have to feint your movement intentions in MMA. You can't let someone know that all you're going to be doing is walking forward towards them. You have to make him second guess. Like, is he going to swarm me right now against the cage? Oh, he's not this time. Oh, this time he is. All of a sudden there's something. But with Pico, he was just doing the same forward movement, walking forward. And then it looked like, and he's been training with Dwayne Ludwig, I think. But I know he's been working with their conditioning guy. He looked like he went for the Dillashaw move with the way that he found the outside foot position. If you watch the Garbrandt. Yeah, if you watch the Garbrandt-Dillashaw first fight, when Dillashaw finished him in round 2, he did the same move, but what was the difference? Dillashaw's chin was guarded, and he was swinging some menacing thing immediately. Whereas Pico just kind of did the move, got to where he wanted to be, and went, and then just got smacked by the spinning elbow. But there's more fights to discuss. There's more to discuss. We can move down the card.
I mean, talk about that spinning elbow. Carlos Prates, holy shit. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Yeah, holy perfect segue.
Yeah, I mean, he's, you know, to see how many guys come from Dana White's Contender Series and actually be like really good is very, it's interesting to see. You know, at one point in time, it was you seeing guys come out of the Ultimate Fighter, right? And then Ultimate Fighter is kind of like, you know, I know the flyweight tough guy just won. I know you talked about he won by triangle, but I don't know how many people actually watch the Ultimate Fighter nowadays, right? I think more people watch Dana White's Contender Series. You see a lot more highlight reels on Instagram and Twitter about the Dana White Contender Series. I mean, a guy won on Tuesday and he just fought on Saturday. That's never been heard of. So for Carlos Prates to go out there and just keep on, he had that slip up against Ian Gary, but I feel he didn't pull the trigger on Ian Gary. I feel like he allowed Ian Gary to dictate and stifle him. But when Carlos Prates just goes, I think Carlos Prates needs to smoke a cigarette before he walks out. He needs to calm those nerves. He needs to sit back there. He goes, I'm going to go get these fucking 50 G's. When he has that mindset and he goes out there, I think he's a force to be reckoned with, right? Like what he was able to do, Geoff Neal, with that leg kick, keeping him at ease, and then talk to him. He realized Geoff Neal wasn't really hurting him with the combination, and then he just let it go. That's when he fights his best. If he would have fought like that against Ian Gary, granted, it would be a little bit more different because he would have to deal with Ian Gary's, the feints and trying to be long and stifle. I think he would beat Ian Gary if he would have fought like he fought against Geoff Neal.
Yeah. Yeah. I really liked his performance, though. Dude, give him an ashtray in the corner if he's going to perform like that once he has a cigarette. You know what I mean? Give him a hookah in the corner. I want to see him out there, just in the corner, just waiting between rounds, just fucking half chuffing a cigarette. But either way, I thought Prates looked amazing. Another spinning elbow KO back to back. That's fucking insane.
Yep.
Right? Which is insane to see on the pay-per-view. Like, as soon as the first one happened, I'm like, oh, how does Murphy top this, And then boom, he tops it with an even better spinning elbow. But Carlos Prates, I thought, looked amazing. His movement looked really good. He was fluid. He was like floating around the... Once he started floating, I was like, oh, this is going to be a Prates vintage performance. And that was around 2 minutes in. Because, of course, he KO'd Geoff Neal with like a second to go in the first round. But 2 minutes into the round, Prates started like... You know what I mean? And he's doing all of this type of movement and floating to get outside foot position. And once you're dancing while taking such an advantage on the feet over someone like Geoff Neal, and now he's got the angle and he's just dancing, and then you can see him like, it's there, but I'm not going to throw it yet. Next time I'll throw it. You know what I mean? I love Prates' game, and I loved how fluid he looked in this fight. Geoff Neal, he goes forwards and backwards. That's what he does. He blitzes forward with shots, or he goes backwards and he doesn't counter really. And then he goes forward again. And that's sort of Geoff Neal's way, is that he fights in a straight line moving forward. And he's very good at that because he's very explosive and he's very tough. So he can take big shots. It took the spinning elbow to put him away. He got cracked by some massive shots before that and took him pretty well. But that's what I saw, is just Prates taking the lead foot position, making Geoff Neal, who likes to fight in a straight line, have to readjust. You know what I mean? It was a bit like... Mario Batista versus Patchy Mix, but with more devastating consequences from Mario Batista, right? He was just constantly floating around him.
Yep.
And that leg kick was money. I love that leg kick because it kind of gives him, once he chops that leg, you're taking away that lead leg. It kind of makes that outside foot position a lot easier for him to get, Once you got someone a little bit ginger on that lead leg, you can start taking outside foot position a lot easier. And he was just lighting Geoff Neal up. Shavkat did it as well. He took the outside angle and he was catching Geoff Neal, while Neal was still in his straight line moving forward phase. Yeah, like this. So he would catch Geoff Neal around the side of that stance. And Prates did the same thing. Amazing performance from Prates, I thought.
Yeah, and I think once Geoff Neal tried to stifle Prates, like wrestle him, put him against the cage, you heard DC, oh, this is a bad idea for him. I was like, no, I thought it was good because once, like you said, Prates started moving around and he has he's very long for that division, right? Like it's 170.
He's all limbs.
Yeah, it's all limbs.
He's not too tall, but he's all limbs.
Yeah, and like you could tell when he was landing his shots, you heard the thud. When Geoff was landing his, it was more of like he was moving more with his hips, trying to get in a better position. But once Geoff Neal got him against the cage and Prates was able to kind of battle his way back to a neutral position, and once he went head to head and he was talking to him, I was like, fuck. I was like, sometimes you just gotta force that wrestling. And not stay there, drop down to a single leg, drop down to a double leg, run the pipe to get him on one foot in order to get him off the cage, because the cage is a great utilizer. It's like an X factor. It's like, okay, my back's to the cage. Okay, I can hold you up. Oh, you drop down a single leg, I can still defend. You take me off of the cage, now I have to keep my balance. There's more open space to throw me in one of the pools. That's what I thought Geoff Neal needed to do. But Prates was very good about keeping him at that neutral position and able to get the separation, start floating around, like you said, the leg kick, and then landing that spinning back elbow. And the fact that, he's only had one loss at welterweight, right? Yeah. And I know that MVP or Carlos. I mean, he wants Leon Edwards next, right? But
In Brazil.
I think he eats Leon Edwards up, to be honest with you. I don't think that's a good fight for Leon Edwards.
I agree.
Because I think Leon Edwards is going to stand. He's going to try to be a sniper. And you can have Carlos like, okay, move in, kick in, and then be a bad knockout. But they did say MVP was like, he didn't take any injuries. He said he would love to go back down to 170. That would be a fucking banger fight because, MVP is going to stand out there. Wait, it could be a same thing like Ian Gary versus Prates with MVP versus Prates because MVP is good about not getting hit and stifling people and also pulling the trigger and trying to knock them out. But yeah. I don't know if you want to give Prates that fight. I think you keep him on not ice, but
on his own path.
On his own path. Yeah, to where it's like, I want to see him. I think he'd be a title contender. I think you could see him fight. What's the gentleman's name? He just got injured. He's undefeated.
Shavkat Rakhmonov.
That would be a great fight. That would be a great fight to watch. Like that right there. Or Bilal Muhammad or Kamaru Usman.
Michael Morales. There's options.
There's options there. And I like options for this young star. I think.
And Michael Morales is from Ecuador, which I'm not a geography wizard or anything, but I'm pretty sure it's closer to Brazil than some other countries in the world. So why not do, Michael Morales versus Carlos Prates in Brazil? Then some Ecuadorians can make the trip out for the fight. Maybe that'd be a decent marketing angle they could take, I think.
Yeah. But I like Prates. I want to see what he does next because I think he's a young star, and to see him, I would love to see him fight Bilal Muhammad or the Kamaru Usman or those guys. So
yeah, I mean, just how good is Ian Gary? For fuck's sake, that annoys me that he's really good. But I also think the Prates was also preparing for Geoff Neal, and then I know Ian Gary took the fight on short notice as well, and that can explain maybe why he was a little tired in the 4th and 5th.
Yep,
compared to his normal self. But with Carlos Prates, I just feel like he had in this fight he showed such a good, well-rehearsed game plan to deal with Geoff Neal. It must have been a core focus of his training camp when he was actually fighting Ian Gary on short notice. And Ian Gary is such a difference for him.
Oh, yeah.
Than Geoff Neal. Such a difference. So maybe that came into why he just couldn't even let his hands go early in that fight. Some people say he was waiting for Gary to slow down or waiting for his moment. That was probably a part of it. But also, he probably didn't want to get hit that many times. So I just feel like that was such a shift up of opponent that it kind of shocked him. But still, Ian Gary's really good, and that makes him look good. But MVP, you mentioned, as a potential opponent for Prates. I wouldn't say that they should do that, because how many divisions are you going to let MVP ruin the prospects of while not giving him his own way to a title?
Yeah.
Because he moved up to middleweight and he got rid of Shara. And then he's going to go down to welterweight and get rid of Carlos Prates. And then what? Back up to middleweight to get rid of the next Joe Pyfer? You know what I mean? Like, what? How many divisions are you going to let MVP ruin before actually being like, no, you fucking go towards the title and lose or win? Like, we need to work on these up and coming guys before they get into a fucking hokey pokey contest with you. Because we can segue into that MVP contest if you want.
Yeah, let's segue into MVP contest. And I think the hardest thing with MVP, he's so good. Beautiful fight against Jared Cannonier. I told him this to his face. I'm like, man, you're so good at not dropping people. Can you just follow up and just grab him? Because his grappling is good, right? Obviously, you didn't see it when he was on his back. Jared Cannonier got to mount, got to some very dominant positions, almost got the arm triangle. But when MVP, when he dropped Jared Cannonier, he was more fresh, right? When you get on your back after the third, you gone, 13 minutes, bounce around, exploding over and over and over again, that makes you tired, right? It drains your gas tank. So I would like to see MVP keep doing what he's doing. When he drops people, follow up, take the back, use those long, lanky, black-ass legs, lock up the body triangle, and go for a submission game, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, beautiful performance. Classic MVP. I love just calm down. It's gonna be okay. I love it, right? And that's a thing. That's why I think they're okay with him going down to call, because I feel MVP he gives everyone what they want to see. Everybody wants to see knockouts, right? That's what people want to see. And
he didn't give him that yet, though.
Yeah, you know
That's the thing.
That is true. He hasn't yet.
But he does. He's like got he's an entertainment first style though. I know what you mean.
Yes, he's entertainer style. And I feel you give him the Carlos Prates, it's going to be fireworks, right? Or you keep on this path at middleweight. You know, he's in there. He's only lost once. I could be wrong, but I feel he's only lost once. At
Ian Gary.
Ian Gary.
Just how good is Ian Gary?
Yeah, right. At 170,
everyone.
But at 185, I think he has a potential to work his way up to a title shot and then potentially fight for a world title. I mean, he is older. I think he's 38, 39 years old. So the clock is ticking on him. But I just don't know, like, who does he fight next? Does he fight a Rob Whittaker? Does he fight a Dricus du Plessis? Does he fight
Sean Strickland?
I would love that. Sean Strickland versus him. I mean,
exactly.
there's some good fights there. I think you give him Sean Strickland, right? I mean, but
that's why I'm saying no to the Prates thing.
Okay.
You know, not because, I don't want to see MVP versus Prates. No, that'd be really cool. But at what point do you be like, dude, MVP, you could be in a title elimination bout this time next year.
Yeah.
You know, you could be in a title bout next year. And honestly, if any striker's going to find some way of like confusing Chimaev into flatlining him, it'd probably be someone like MVP. It'd probably be a guy like MVP where Chimaev is going to have to shoot from way further out. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be comfortable to just get straight in on the hips. I don't know if MVP would win, of course, because of what Cannonier did in that fight. Maybe we can talk about the performance itself, but that's what I mean for MVP, though. It's not that I don't want to see him versus Prates. It's just I'm like, when do you take your own career into, like, he's looking for strikers.
Yep.
You know, like, I'll move up and fight Shara Magomedov, a pure striker at middleweight. That's when he first moved up. Cannonier is not known for wrestling. You know, he's a striker, really, and that's what he did for the first half of this fight with MVP. Mm-hmm. Now he's looking down to fight Prates. I'm all for the show fights and the fun matchups, but let's get your career like in a matchup where I'm like, oh, there's something on the line here. Yep. This isn't just a fun matchup. There's like some real.
He has potential.
If he wins this one, he's in the picture. Yeah, he does. I think MVP doesn't want to go down the. I don't mean to constantly drag him like this, but the Kevin Holland route where, dude, it's not about like you're having fun. I get it, but you're right there. Yeah. You're right there at middleweight now. Yep. You just beat Jared Cannonier, who had put together some momentum again. Start looking at the Stricklands, the Adesanyas, these matchups. Mm-hmm. That's awesome matchups for MVP. But what did you think about his performance itself in general?
I think his performance is good. I mean, he's so hard to deal with, right? Even when I was in London and I was training with him, when you're out there and you saw Jared Cannonier, he was out there trying to figure a way to get across the void. And he's so good about being light and just hitting with combinations. And then you saw in the third round, he got more impatient, right? He threw that Superman punch, which he didn't have to throw it. He threw it, and that's when he got slipped up. He ended up on his back. He was able to get back to guard. Half guard. Then Jared Cannonier passed with a knee slice, and then ended on a mount, and then he was able to survive that. But I think if MVP can just stay on the outside, and obviously I want to see him start submitting people when he drops them, he can work his way up. And like I think I'm gonna go on hot take. I think he knocks out Sean Strickland. I think with Sean Strickland coming forward with the Philly shell style, I think he's gonna be able to take out the legs and find the right shot and then he'll drop Sean Strickland and he'll be like, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it, get up. And then Sean Strickland's like, I gotta get this motherfucker. I think he can knock him out. And then when you say take your career in your own hands, we don't know what he wants. Right? He says he's always looking for those fun fights, right? He's just, I'll fight whatever. I'll go 170, 185. Does he want to be a world champion? Does he want to fight for the title, right? That's only for him to answer, right? But when we see him sit in the press conference, I watch a little bit of it, and he seems more gung-ho about having these fun fights. I don't know why, but, maybe next time.
I feel like it's code for don't give me a fucking grappler. In a way, though, it is kind of code for that. Like, in a way, like, give me the fun ones. But in my opinion, there's fun ones at the top of middleweight. This is the exception to that. There's these fun matchups. They're there for you.
Yep.
But they're just at middleweight, and they can actually get you towards title picture. And who doesn't want to see if you see Chimaev MVP matched up against, that's a sick, massive event. Yep. So I think MVP needs to realize that. Look, I'm right there. I've just beat Cannonier. Mm-hmm. Middleweights aren't all that technically compared to the welterweights, in some of the intricate things that they can do. Seize the day, take advantage of the fact of where you are at middleweight. don't gamble a welterweight ranking spot when you're right there, you know, looking for a title elimination bout.
Yep. And like you said, the Sean Strickland, that's not a wrestling match. The not DDP. The Izzy versus MVP, it's not a wrestling match, right? Even is that Nasruddin? Yeah, Nasruddin. I mean, obviously they got some, or he could fight RDR. That's gonna be a grappling match. But I think,
can you imagine RDR trying to land a punch on MVP? I want to see it,
dude. He'd be like, yeah. But you know, and I think that's gonna be the style matchup, right? If RDR is able to get MVP down, I think RDR submits him. But if RDR stays on his feet, I think MVP can have his way and potentially knocking him out. Because if he drops him, he's not going to fall into the guard. He's going to stay up, get back up, and drop it again. So, yeah, you have some, you know, you got some good points there. There are some good fights that aren't wrestling matchups at middleweight that could get him to a title shot.
Yeah, but I do it. Honestly, RDR's knees up the middle could be something to watch out for with the way MVP fights. So who knows? I'm not trying to make that fight happen. But either way, MVP's performance, very good. I've never been more frustrated for a fighter than when watching him fight MVP. Because it's not like, you know, you talk about the void. With MVP, there's a void beyond the void. Like there really is. You talk about the void and like, how do they travel between this gap to land on their opponent? Like, how do they get to that position? But with MVP, it's like, are you going to be able to safely approach the position from which you can land on MVP from? You know? Like, it's not even that he's catching these guys in the pocket or he's catching these guys when they're in range of him. Dude, MVP is keeping you a step out of range of him. Like when you watch MVP's fights, you say, oh, he's so elusive. They're not in range of each other. MVP is very meticulous about that. Like, you're not going to corner me. And if you do, he coils up and then you don't want to go in because you're like, what's he gonna throw? You know, because all of a sudden the dancing stops when you've got him on the cage. That does need to be mentioned. When you've got him on the cage, it becomes... like he becomes a little bit more rooted in his step, like he's ready to spring at you. And then when these guys finally get him to the cage, they go, oh, I kind of don't even want this. Like what if he just jolts at me and explodes at me? But I will say this. If you're an opponent of MVP, you need to know this information, okay? Because sure, he does all the dancing and it's very cool and he's got a wicked style to watch. Very, very entertaining. If you're an opponent of MVP, you've got to understand this. Watch his fights. It is a minutely 1-2. Oh, yeah. That's what it is. Once per minute, it's a 1-2. Everything else, in my opinion, seems to be one big distraction. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Oh, minute's gone by. It's time for my 1-2. He really, I don't know if it's like these guys aren't forcing him to do anything more than that in order to win. But what MVP does in fights, he's a wicked striker, amazing. But I think his ability that he has beyond anyone else is he can turn a 5-minute round into 6 moments. Like 6 moments of judgeable fight. And he controls when they happen, and he wins them when they happen. Which is why when he rocks you, he pushes you. You know that? When he hurts Jared Cannonier, push him over. That's a good look. I've won the round now, unless he puts me on my ass. Round 2, he cracks Cannonier again. Little shove with the hand. Over goes Cannonier. Now he's mocking him with his dance moves again. And I just feel like MVP is an expert at making a 15-minute fight or 2 rounds of a fight that he needs to win in order to win the fight. He can turn them into like 10 moments, which is why the significant strike numbers in this fight are so low, but it's still so exciting. It's because you're waiting for these moments of craziness. Everything is a distraction for the 1-2. The jolting, bolting 1-2. He might throw a side kick, an oblique kick to the leg, but it really is just a 1-2. Like you've got. I think fighters have got to start calling his bluff, and that might get him knocked out. But it's also going to be the thing that leads you to win. When Cannonier called MVP's bluff in round 3 and just thought, I'm going to start going for it. Who cares if I get knocked out? He actually had a lot of success and actually started landing a few strikes on MVP as well. Because, I don't know, I feel like fighters are expecting something that doesn't necessarily come because it's such a confusing thing in front of them. Like, he's such a confusing style. But that's what I would say about MVP. Well, very impressive.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that you either have to stay outside or be all the way the fuck in. You can't be in between, right? And if you look at MVP style, they mentioned it last on the podcast that he's a karate point fighter. If you watch, I don't know how much karate point fighter you've seen or whatnot, but I grew up watching it because my buddy, he did karate and they would stand like that. And then once you hit him, bop, you hit him, bop, They stop it.
Point goes up.
Point goes up. They stop. They reset. And then you go again, right? There is no finishing ability. There is no finish in point karate. It's bop, hit you, boom, done, right? So you made a good reference when he goes bop, bop, pushes, it's a reset. There's no bop, 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 bop. And I follow you down, bop, 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 boom, pull me off, the fight's done. If he added that one little element into his game, it will make his game just skyrocket because it's like, fuck, if he does, think about this. Okay, I'm in here, I'm outside the void. Boom, I get hit with the 1-2. Oh, fuck, I hurt like a motherfucker. I'm gonna get back up. All right, I get to go again. MVP's like, welcome back. Hey, welcome back. I get an opportunity. Calm down. Okay, here we go again. Pop, pop, pop. I get dropped again. I get back up. Hey, you're still there. Come back. I get more opportunities to fight. But imagine if MVP did this. Pop, pop. Oh, God, you're still there. And he follows up, and I would be more scared to get hit because I know he's going to follow up. But it's like the first time, and you saw Jared, he goes, you got me the first time. You got me the first time. You got me the second time. I got multiple opportunities to get back into the fight. And then imagine it was a 5-round fight, right? He got him down. He starts passing the guard, goes to the 4th round. I just need to walk forward. I'm going to eat some shots, whether I stay out or if I get in. Shit, if I get in and I eat some shot and I get my hands on you, there might be a chance, right? So I think that style of, I think Wonder Boy, he was the first one to come in with that karate style. Same with Lyoto Machida, right? But his was more facing forward, more of not a bladed stance, but more of a square stance. And I think Wonder Boy did the same thing. He just wasn't as fast as MVP. But I think MVP has just been able to master and utilize that style and hurting people and making people guess. And then when he does get to the cage, he hunkers down. If you don't proceed, he goes lateral, looks, and then if you back up enough, he comes back out and starts bouncing. So classic karate master point fight.
Point karate fight. And that makes so much sense when you said that they do a 1-point thing and then they reset. Because I was just saying like it's you'll go on.
And I think too,
is that what they do?
Yeah, that's what they do. They reset. But in point karate, a lot of times they attack when somebody comes in, or when they come in, they throw spinning back kicks to the head to try to catch them. Because in point karate, you can do that. There's no grappling. You don't have to worry about giving your back. In MMA, you don't see them do spinning stuff because if I spin and throw a spinning back kick and I miss, I give up my back. That's one thing. It's always the 1-2 because it's the safest thing. If he shoots, I can push him off. That's why if you watch point karate, they do a lot of spinning back kick to hit the head. And then if I miss, they even reset. They're not like, I miss. Oh, you can hit me in the back head or this. It's like spinning back kick up. Nobody scored. Reset. Recreate that void. Go. And that's why he has that. That's why his style is based off that.
Yeah. Well, I think that makes complete sense. You know, he used to fight point karate. It's based on these single moments of landing and then they reset. And then you look at his fights and it's literally just a 15-minute fight condensed into about 9 or 10 moments that he's going to get the better of. But I agree with you in terms of adding a bit of a new crinkle to his game. I also think that I get what you mean about point karate, by the way, because of course I used to do taekwondo. Ooh. Most of the time it's people getting back up from falling over. Most of the time when I was doing taekwondo, you would hear most of the time, and that would be at like some kind of competition, you would hear a slam and you would think, oh, someone's been knocked out maybe, but no. Most of the time it's just that someone's thrown a wheel kick and fallen on their back while throwing it because there's no worry of ground game or anything, and then everyone gets back up, they straighten up their gear and they get ready for the next round. But I will say with MVP, you do have submission abilities, Michael Venom Page, because I used to watch MVP in Bellator, and way back when, I've seen the Kimuras MVP. I've seen the toe holds, if you remember, when he was doing that and grinning at the guy on the ground. Like that to him, dude. I honestly, if I was fighting MVP, I'm fucking leaving the cage. You ain't embarrassing me like that. Straight up. Once he's done a few moves, I'll be like, you know what, mate? Fuck you then. If that's how it is, then fuck you. And if he tried to shake my hands afterwards, I'd fucking knock him out if he tried to do that shit. That would really piss me off. Imagine he's just humiliated you like that, and then at the end of the fight, it's like, oh, it's all, all respect. Oh, it's all respect. All respect. You've just been humiliating me for 10 minutes straight until round 3.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's all now it's all respect and handshakes. Dude, I've never seen a showboater that I've fought so I'd be so angry about that. Normally when I see showboating, I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool. He's showboating. When MVP showboats, I go like, oh, you're such a You're such a what an annoying you are to poor Cannonier, dude. Think of Cannonier's got like a wife and kids. Like I was so annoyed on behalf of Cannonier, dude. It seems like such a frustrating thing to have to deal with.
Yeah.
But a very good performance from MVP in the first 2 rounds.
I mean, you look at Jared Cannonier, he's 42. I can't be wrong. 42, looking like a fucking young stud. I mean, and for him to fight at so many different divisions and to be taking on these young, I mean, MVP isn't young. He ain't a youngster, but, you know, Jared Cannonier still has some life left in him if he continues to fight. But, yeah, I'd be kind of curious to see what he does next because at 42, like, you know, he looks great. He looks in phenomenal shape. And I felt like he was hanging with MVP, you know, not the first 2 rounds, but I think the 3rd round he found his entry to start getting something going in the fight. But I think it was just a little bit too late.
No, too late. But for Cannonier, I'd want some advice, Cannonier. Brendan Allen, the real nice matchup for you. Brendan Allen, Jared Cannonier. I reckon Cannonier probably knock out Brendan Allen. So if you want to, I think that should be, if Cannonier's looking for his next move, see what Brendan Allen's up to in December or January. And I think that'd be pretty good for him. We can move on because there's one last fight on the main card that we have to discuss. Okay. Because it's of course in your division or your former division of the flyweight division. Kai Asakura versus Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott, like at his age in 2025, pulls it off against Kai Asakura in an upset win. What did you think about the guillotine from Tim Elliott and the, I guess, previous performance from Asakura before that point?
Man, a lot of hype for Kai Asakura coming over to the UFC. If you follow his career in Ryzen, nothing but highlight reels against, you know, Kyojo Horiguchi. He's had a fight with Manel Kopp. I mean, he's fought Juan Archuleta. He's had some great fights in Ryzen. But then he comes to UFC, you know, I knew that Alex Pantoja was going to, you know, submit him, right? Because he doesn't have a ground game. He has no wrestling or ground game whatsoever. But I thought there was going to be opportunity for, you know, Kai Asakura to bring back that swagger, that knockout that everybody was really looking for. But Tim Elliott, he's very awkward to fight, very hard to deal with, moves his head. That's one thing I said last night. Usually when people have their hands down, like Michael Venom Page, Carlos Prates, Tim Elliott, they're moving and their head, even, you know, TJ Dillashaw, Dominic Cruz, when an athlete has their hands down, they're just protecting their head because that's the most vital spot that can knock them out, right? Once Tim Elliott started bringing his hands down and having a hard time, giving Kai Asakura a hard time to get to him, you know, I thought Kai Asakura was going to knock him out because his hands, he has the power, but he was so unsure of himself. Like he would be there, get low, go 3-2, 2-3, and Elliott would just keep pulling back his head. And each time Tim Elliott took him down, you see this is how you know he had no ground awareness. He kept turtling and putting his hands on the mat to get up, giving his head. It's the one thing that you don't do in MMA. I got knocked out by it when I fought Adriano, but granted I was concussed when I got dropped the uppercut. I was trying to get up like this. He needed to knee me on the ground. But the one thing that Kai kept on doing was wrestling up. Tim dropped down, grabbed the guillotine, came on top, had a one-arm guillotine. And this is how, you know, if you go, I don't want to keep referencing myself, but when I fought Joseph Benavidez, same position, it's not the hands that choke you out, right?
The hips.
It's the hips. You got to get your hands on the hips. You pop up, you get small, you go to the legs. And the second thing is that Tim Elliott's very good about going after guillotines. The easy way to pass somebody's guard is you shoot a double leg, give them your head on purpose, then you jump to the opposite side of where your head is. Easy guard pass, right? But for Tim Elliott to be able to still be in the game at 38 years old, fight after fight, win, lose, and pull off this I guess people call it an upset because a lot of people had a lot of high praise for Kai Asakura. Absolutely amazing. I'm super happy for him. And, you know, he loves this shit. Like he said, he's sitting there, he goes, he loves this shit. Will he be a world champion? I'm not sure, right? Like he's got, you know, I love seeing him fight a Manel Kopp or Brandon Royval. You know, I don't know how he's going to do against those guys, but for a veteran in the flyweight division, I still think he's probably the oldest flyweight in the division. still beating very young contenders. But great performance from Tim Elliott. Great performance.
Yeah. I thought it was one of those performances where you're like, damn, this guy looks shit. Like, he genuinely did look really weirdly bad, like, in the fight. Like, the way he was moving. And, you know, he's been out for a long time. He's been out for 2 years. And I know there's goofy movement.
Yep.
But I feel like early in the fight, he was it was almost like he was trying to disguise his jitters with a bit of goofiness.
Yep.
Like, it almost gets you comfortable, you know, to just get your swagger on a little bit. That's what I felt like Tim Elliott was doing in round 1. He was kind of trying to get a good feeling going by doing a lot of the movements and stuff like that. But I expected Kai Asakura to win by KO.
Yep.
He did not, of course. But I think he was a favorite for a reason because, you know, you look at Tim Elliott and he's been a bit hit and miss with other fighters in the flyweight division. And there is the narrative of, you know, he's been around for so long and Asakura is the new up-and-comer. So in a weird way, I think this fight, the result of this fight, it kind of like ruined the argument of evolution, you know what I mean, of the sport in a weird way. Not quite to where like, God, no one's evolving. I'm not saying that, but to the extent that people were saying it was. Like, oh, those guys from the past, they can't hold a candle to the current guys. Like, Tim Elliott is and I wanted to mention this because we've got a lot of people saying, you know, Pantoja's already above DJ on the GOAT list. And I put out a tweet saying this. I was like, for all the people saying that and already trying to be like, oh, he doesn't need the long defenses because of how good the competition is. They're 3 times better of fighters. That was Demetrious Johnson's 2016 title defense against Alejandro Pantoja's 2025 title defense at the start of this year. And Tim Elliott pulled off the win. If that doesn't tell you, listen, I'm not denying that there is some evolution. But if that doesn't tell you that this evolution isn't enough to skip out on fucking 6 title defenses, then I don't know what is. You know what I mean? Like, I think they've got to give credit, man. The old vets that are still around, they're still around for a reason. Yeah. You know, you see him in the rankings sometimes and you think, oh, that guy's still around, he'll lose. But you don't go, that guy's still around. Why the fuck is that guy still around? Oh, wait, he's actually winning fights. And, you know, Tim Elliott pulls off his guillotine. He's got a nasty guillotine. I've always thought flyweight is the division of guillotines. I don't know why that is, but I've always thought flyweight's the division of guillotines. Can you explain that in any way?
Well, I mean, Joseph Benavidez, he was very good at guillotines. I wasn't really a guillotine guy because you kind of go to your back and I don't have long arms, but Tim Elliott has a long body. I think he's 5'11", 5'10". So he has that long, skinny arm, so he's able to get it. And then let's talk about like that GOAT conversation.
Yeah,
right? Like,
that's the point. Yeah.
When you look at my division when I was fighting, you had Joseph Benavidez, you had John Dodson, you had Kyoji Horiguchi, you had Chris Cariaso, then you also had Tim Elliott, and who else was there? You had John
Wilson
Moraga.
Hayes came up eventually.
Who was it you just said?
Wilson Hayes.
Wilson Hayes came up, and then you had Henry Cejudo. You had Formiga. I mean, you had some good guys. And when you look at John Dodson, he was knocking everybody out at the time, right? He would touch you, you would go to sleep. That was one thing that John Dodson had. Yeah, Joseph Benavidez, long-time Team Alpha guy, can fight everywhere, very well-rounded, great hands, drop people.
Good wrestler.
Fought Dominic Cruz, took Dominic Cruz to 2 decisions. You look at Ian
Split decision too.
You look at Ian McCall, very good. At one point in time, he was the best fighter in the world. You know, his life guy was kind of chaotic. Kyoji Horiguchi, never really lost. Great blitzer, very young in the division. Ali Bagatinov, Sambo world champion, very good everywhere. Also on EPO. Chris Cariaso, he put together a 3-fight win streak, very good everywhere. Good kickboxer, not very good on the ground. Very active hips. Henry Cejudo, Olympic world champion. Wrestling champion. Wilson Hayes put some stuff together. When you look at that body of work, the guys I just named off of, right? And then you look at Alex Pantoja. So the last guy, and Alex Pantoja, he's fucking great. He is fucking good, right? I'm just comparing people like, oh, his competition is better than mine. Even Manel Kopp himself, who's in that division, said, your division back in the day was way harder because you had way more well-rounded guys. Where today, I think I feel comfortable saying you have specialists in the flyweight division, meaning that Steve Ercik, I feel he's better suited for 135. He just fought at 135, had a great performance. You could tell his body was more filled out in that division. He fought ex Pantoja. He's a stand-up guy, not very good off the ground. I could be wrong, but I felt he's more of a specialist on the feet. Kai Asakura, specialist on the feet. He has no ground game whatsoever, right? I think you put Kai Asakura versus Joseph Benavidez in the prime. I think Joseph eats his ass up all damn day. I feel comfortable saying that, right? You look at the guys that Pantoja has fought that he's had some, back and forth with. You look when he fought Brandon Moreno. Those guys went back and forth. Somebody who's very athletic, who's pretty good on the feet. I don't think has Figgy and Pantoja fought before. I think they have.
Yeah, Figueiredo beat him. Figueiredo beat him up.
Beat him up. Pretty bad. I mean, when I was at flyweight, I really didn't get beat up at flyweight, right? Even when I fought Henry Cejudo, a lot of people thought I won the second fight, right? Like he out-wrestled me, held me down. I couldn't get up. Right. So I never really got beat up at 125. I did get beat up against Dominic Cruz, who fucking suplexed me 4 times. So
I mean, you've had scares, but you've never had consistent beatdowns,
Yeah. And I would say this. I think Pantoja is on his way to being the GOAT of the division. I truly believe that because he keeps on beating everybody. Right. We cannot deny that. But I feel comfortable saying that my division at my time, they were way more dynamic. They just were. Like you just look at their finishes, right? Like I think John Dodson beat Steve Erceg. I think he'll move and hit him and drop him. He'll fall in his.
He probably does chin him.
Yeah. I just feel there's just like when you have Manel Kopp, who's in that division now, he goes, dude, your division back in the day was way harder. You had way more killers. And that's not me. That's not coming from me. That's coming from the number one contender, Manel Kopp right now. Yeah. Right. So, but back on, Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura. I don't know what they're going to do with Kai Asakura, but the one thing I do want to spot out is that Tim Elliott went on that fight on his last fight on his contract. Right.
Big win.
Big fucking huge W for him. Right. Because in mixed martial arts, athletes don't have leverage, especially at flyweight. You do not have no leverage. At the end of the day, it's about making as much money as possible. That way, when you're 42, you're 45, you can rest comfortably. You got to worry about, I got to get a fucking job, right? So for him to win that fight, finish him, they have to come to the table. If he's willing to bargain and hey, I think Tim Elliott should go out there and say, I want $450,000. That's what I want. You sign that. You sign that 7.7.
You're condemning him to PFL if you're giving him that advice. They're not giving him $450K.
Why not? Why the fuck not?
They're not going to give it because he's just they're not going to invest for DJ. Don't get this guy fucking sentenced to a fucking decade of prison time at PFL. Don't have this.
He's 38. Might as well swing for the fucking fences. You know what I mean?
True. I hear it.
You just beat a guy who came over, was a world champion in Ryzen. He's 0-2. He fought for a title, right? Tim Elliott was like, dude, give me what I want or I'll walk. He walks. Dana White's at another press conference. You just let go Tim Elliott. He just had an amazing performance against Kai Asakura. Why'd you let him go? He wanted too much money. You just signed a $7.7 billion deal. You couldn't give him, it's not like, it's not like he's fighting. Yeah, it's not like he's fighting 5 times a year. He's fighting 2 times a year, maybe. He fights $450,000 out of that 7.7. I think that's where the athletes miss the opportunity when because usually you don't get the opportunity to go out on a win, an impressive win on the end of your contract, right? So I think that's the biggest thing about that fight. When he said that, I was more excited about that than his guillotine, because for him to go out on his fight, last fight on his deal, and get it finished against Kai Asakura, who just fought for the world title against Alex Pantoja, that's a huge W.
Huge. And in a weird way, I said immediately no because you're going to get him cut from the UFC, because I don't think they'd give him $500,000. But I do think they'd be willing to, he's an entertaining fighter, Tim Elliott, so I think they'd be willing to at least up his contract.
350?
If he did get cut.
350?
Yeah, something like 300, 150 for 150, something like that. Something just shy of a Kevin Holland wage in a way. Okay. I don't know, but he's not got the same name value though. But maybe if he got cut from the UFC, you got to understand that your value in the UFC isn't your value. You have a separate value that exists as a fighter. And I think that Tim Elliott, if you leave the UFC, if you're getting paid shit from the UFC right now, if you left, you never know what some guy's willing to fork up to see you take on an Asakura back in Japan in Rising.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because if Asakura gets cut, which could happen, like if he loses again, he's probably going to get cut. But if Elliott's out on the regional scene, those Japanese guys want to get their profit back on their prospect. They might be like, dude, come to Japan. We want to get a chance at redemption. We'll set up a big event. And, you know, that's why Asakura had so much hype, because he used to sell out massive stadiums. So I know he's feeling a massive amount of embarrassment for that loss, because he had a ton of fan base behind him. You know, he's a famous guy, Kai Asakura. But what were you going to chime in?
And that's one thing they do, right? Like you look at Sergio Pettis versus Kyojo Horiguchi. Sergio Pettis knocks him out in Bellator. They redo the fight in Japan. Kyojo Horiguchi gets that win back. You know, if Kai Asakura, when you said that, if they cut it from the UFC, imagine that, right? And this is where I get at, like when it comes to competition level, right? After I beat Joseph Benavidez in 2012, he went on a 5-fight win streak in a division. We fought again, right? Then I knocked him out, right? I beat John Dotson, 5-round decision. He goes on a tear, comes back. I beat him again. You look at what Alex Pantoja does to his opponents. He beats them. They go on another loss. Then if Kai Asakura gets cut, do we put any substance in that title defense against Kai Asakura? You know what I mean? Like, let's like
it'd be almost like it never happened.
It would never. It's almost like this guy comes and goes. It's almost like, so when people start to like look at the competition level, right? It's like, let's you guys want to fucking, you know, go through this and fine comb it. We can do it all fucking day. I do. We can do it all fucking day.
DJ. Can I take this?
Go ahead, Guru. Go, don't hurt him.
So let's go through Demetrious Johnson's fights, because I want to get something across. So Demetrious Johnson's title defense is Tim Elliott, okay, in 2016. That's nothing. That means absolutely zero. Now you've got Tim Elliott with wins over guys like Tagir Ulanbekov, you know, Victor Altamirano, Sumit Werji recently beat, and now he's beaten Kai Asakura, which was a title defense of Alejandro Pantoja just recently. So that's one of your title defenses from 2016 that stuck around in the UFC, okay? Now, if you move on to other opponents of yours, like you beat Kyoji Horiguchi, and you said it yourself, he leaves the UFC. That doesn't mean his career ends. Because when you go through Kyoji Horiguchi's career, when he leaves the UFC after losing to you, we're talking going on a run in the UFC, by the way, where he goes on a 3-fight win streak before they cut him, including wins over Alan Bagatinov. Which is another one of your defenses, I believe. Then he goes to Rising, beats some really good fighters. He beats Manel Cap, a young, arrogant prospect, Manel Cap. He chokes him out in round 3 and finishes him. So that's the win on Pantoja's resume today. It's like, I know it's not the same version of Manel Cap, but there's maybe a reason why Cap is saying that your generation was better, because he's run into a lot of these guys when he was trying to make his come up that have left the UFC after losing to you, including Kyoji Horiguchi. You know, he then goes on and beats Ian McCall in 2018. Then he goes over to Rising. He beats Darian Caldwell, who's a very good fighter, very, very good fighter in the division at the time. Beats him twice. Beats Kai Asakura in Rising, who goes on to become a title defense for Pantoja. And that was in 2020. He knocked out Asakura in round 1 in 2020. You know? Then he goes in there against other guys. He has a win over Sergio Pettis in the rematch now in 2024. And now, guess what?
He's back in the UFC.
Look who they're looking to re-sign. He's back in the UFC. And they're trying to give him a top contender, right? But if he would have made it back to the top again, all of a sudden that'd be a legit title defense for Pantoja. But it wasn't legit for you. That doesn't make any sense to me. You go through other fighters. Joseph Benavidez, you said he went on a massive win streak after his first loss to you. And he did. He went on a win streak. You know, he had a split decision to Dominic Cruz, lost to you by close decision the first time. Went on a win streak, beat Ian McCall, Jose Formiga, lost to you again. But then he goes on a streak against Tim Elliott. And this is after the second fight. Beats Tim Elliott by finish, Dustin Ortiz, John Moraga, Ali Bagatinov, Zach Makovsky, Henry Cejudo on the come up. He beats by split decision. Then he loses, but then he beats Alex Perez, which is considered a top.
Who's still in the game today. Still in the game today. Yeah.
That's like one of Makayev's best wins, bar the Manel Cap fight. So when you look at like what's happened to the careers after these guys have gone, they have good wins. Jose Formiga was a win that Joseph Benavidez had before. And Jose Formiga went on to defeat, I believe, Davison Figueiredo before he eventually got to his title shot. If I'm not mistaken here, I don't think I am. No, he didn't. He beat Davison Figueiredo.
Yeah,
before Figueiredo went on his title.
I think he out-grappled him. Out-grappled him and stifled him.
But that's what I'm talking about. So even though the division is more fun today, it's more exciting today. These guys get scrappier today. They fight. It's wild. The flyweights are always going to war. Don't confuse that with way fucking better just because you're paying more attention.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Don't confuse it with that because the division was still good back then, but they were specialists. So they were shutting down any of that crazy, goofy, crazy, wild Joshua Van shit that was going on. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I fought Tim Elliott, when he was doing all the crazy shit, I was like, I'm taking you the fuck down and you're going to grab. Yeah, I remember he grabbed my first, he went for a guillotine. And I never forget, I was talking about this at the gym the other day. I shot a takedown on Tim Elliott. He grabbed the guillotine. I jumped to side control. And then I saw his coach, James Krause. I'm like, oh, how you doing, James? How you doing? He goes, oh, hey, DJ, how you doing? I was like, oh, don't worry. I'll make sure your boy's nice and good. And I was trying to commemorate him, get his back. But I was like, back in the day, I'm like, okay, he's being awkward. He's not going to throw. Just shoot. Like, that's what I always say. I feel my timeline from 2012 to 2018, that was probably the best technical athletes in the flyweight division, right?
Yeah.
Now,
and I think it's because they were starved from the UFC for a while.
Yes.
So when you eventually did open up the division, there was all of these guys kind of waiting, like they're already top dogs, but they haven't had the chance of competition yet. So it was kind of like they were starved of the lower weight classes. And then when they did open those lower weight classes up, they already had like dogs, like killers waiting, like the guys you just listed. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. But oh no, good fight for Tim Elliott. I'm kind of excited to see. I'm kind of interested to see what's going to happen to Kai Asakura, if they're going to give him another opportunity or do they cut him back to Ryzen. But you know what? Like you said, if he gets cut from UFC, he goes back to Ryzen, wins 1 or 2 fights there. He's a big star there. The Japanese culture, they love that. And yeah, man. I mean, what'd you think of UFC 319?
It was a good card.
Good card?
It was a good card. The main event was a bit of, not the best ending because we wanted a bit more from it, obviously. But overall, I thought it was a really good card. The main card was solid, bunch of crazy, two spinning elbow KOs in a row. You're talking 7, 8 out of 10 at least. You know, some of the early prelims weren't as good. Not much to talk about on the prelims. But the main card for the first 4 fights was just banger after banger. So I think it made up for itself big time.
That's what's up. Okay, let's talk about some other news. We want to start. You want to start with Charles Oliveira? We want to start, my friend.
Let's do the Amazon deal because Oliveira is almost looking to the future. So let's cover that at the end before we go.
Okay, the Paramount deal. The Paramount deal is $7.7
That's it.
billion.
Fucking hell, the Paramount
That's okay,
deal,
baby. It's okay. Amazon, Paramount, all the same shit. They're always trying to get more subscribers. I'm not gonna lie to you. I woke up. I was a little upset. Only reason why is because I was hoping Netflix would have got it so it could help my stock and Netflix go up. But I was happy that it went to. I was happy that they went to a streaming platform where they keep it at $9.99 or $21.99, no ads or whatever. I was okay with it. I was totally fine, right? Like the only reason why I have ESPN Plus was for the UFC. But for $7.7 billion, I think a lot of people got to understand that like we don't know if it's all cash. Is it stock options? What exactly is the deal? Because a lot of people are like, oh, how much money the fighter's going to get from it? And I was like, well, we don't know if it's all cash, right? If it's not all cash, it's going to be bought in stock or whatever. Because even Dana White said himself, we don't even know how the deal is going to play out. We don't even know, are they getting, Dana White's Contender Series? Are they getting Power Slap? Are they getting, what exactly are they getting? But I woke up and I was like, good for the UFC, $7.7 billion. Good for them. Next thing. So I'm happy. I'm excited. I can't wait to see how it is because I have Paramount Plus. I have for South Park. I have for other things too. So it's just gonna be delete ESPN Plus. Go to Paramount Plus.
Dude, Paramount Plus making some big moves. South Park and the UFC within a month. I tell you.
Oh, dude,
those are some big buys.
Yeah,
real big buys. But I do agree. This was really good. Normally I have some shit to say. This is a big deal for the UFC because if you would have asked the average UFC fan before the event of Ilya versus Oliveira, what do you think about the current state of the UFC? They would say very openly, it's the worst it's been. It's somewhat the worst. Like it's been very bad, at least recently. Like we haven't had any hires. So the fact that they've secured this deal at a time where we didn't have that big marquee star is very well timed for them. And I'm sure that Paramount are like, yes, Ilya fucking won.
Oh,
We can get the Ilya Makhachev fight. You know what I mean? They're happy with Ilya's victory, of course. But I think it's a huge deal for the UFC. Massive deal. I mean, I have some investments, and I'm pretty sure Paramount is under the umbrella of that. I was kind of hoping that maybe Netflix would get included as well, but you know, it all goes full circle. You know what I mean? Once you get your investments going. So I'm glad. It's almost like I'm doing good for my investments even by talking about the UFC and helping promote the card. And then I get it all around on the back end anyway. It's good, dude. It's a good life.
Well, I would say this. It is all full circle because if you look at the company of Paramount Plus, at one point in time, it was called Viacom. And Viacom was trying to get into that business of mixed martial arts. Little behold, it was an organization called Bellator.
Spike.
And Bellator was there. They had, Bjorn Redning, I believe his name was. They brought in Scott Coker. And then eventually they realized they didn't have the stars. They didn't have the same type of marketing power or the marketing machine that the UFC does. What does Bellator do? They sell to PFL. They get outside of the business, right? Then they restructure. They change their name from Viacom to Paramount Plus. And what ends up happening? Now Paramount Plus owns the streaming rights to the biggest organization in the world when it comes to mixed martial arts, the UFC. So full circle. I thought that was kind of cool where it was like, you know what? And that's what businesses do. Businesses they try to start from the ground up and build it up. And if they can't do it, they're like, fuck it, we're getting out of it. And then when they have an opportunity to buy some, share or some form of it, when it's already
some
built
ownership
up,
of
some
the product,
ownership that's already built up, that's exactly what they did. So when you said full circle moment, Viacom now owns the UFC, when before Viacom was the owner of Bellator, shelling out big ass paychecks to Michael Chandler, the Pitbull brothers, Patchy Mix, Sergio Pettis. I mean, Sergio Pettis told me he made more money fighting for Bellator than he did in the UFC because they were really trying to get more athletes. But if history has shown that you need the key star athletes or you need to have the biggest name in the game, which is UFC, and to be able to generate buzz, and obviously Bellator couldn't do it, so they just bought UFC. They bought the stream rights to the UFC via Paramount Plus. So good for them.
Yeah, I think this is a really good move for the UFC. I mean, 1.1 billion a year. We're bound to see fighter pay increase, which maybe we can get into in a second. But I wanted to check this thing first because you said a full circle moment. Paramount Network, Spike TV, a former American cable channel, rebranded as Paramount Network in 2018. The rebranding was part of a larger strategy by Viacom. So Spike TV, talk about full circle. You talked about this with Viacom that used to own Bellator, now they own the UFC. Full circle even more. Complete this circle. That was Spike TV back in the day that gave the UFC their first deal. After Forrest Griffin versus Stephan Bonner. They cut the deal. They got them on television. It did massive things for the UFC. I wonder if that was because we all thought Netflix. We thought Netflix, some other thing, Prime Video, who knows what they're going to do. Paramount wasn't really, it was an option, but it wasn't a front runner that people thought they were going to go for. I wonder if the UFC really thought, and you know how Dana is about if you've helped him once. He's got your back forever type thing, with even some of the Trump stuff, I bet you he doesn't even agree with much, but he's just loyal to Trump because he helped him out early doors. But I feel like with this, I reckon there was a part of it, like this is Spike TV. They gave us the way in the first place. I wonder if there was maybe a slightly better deal, with a company that maybe would be a bit nitpicky and asking for, I feel like they like the relationship with these guys. They've worked with them before. They know them. And I also feel they've had the numbers from Spike TV, right? So they know what they've already got in the past. Like this was back in the past. This is way back in the day when Spike TV was Spike TV was known for fucking UFC, right? You never go to Spike TV for anything else. And then they lose UFC. UFC goes to Fox. They see Fox numbers go up pretty high. Pay-per-views kind of on the rise still because you had Conor, Ronda, and those guys are all fighting. And then they go to ESPN Plus. Pay-per-views are starting on a decline, but ESPN subscriber base is up, essentially. And then it's almost like, well, let's get out of the pay-per-view business because that's pretty much fucking dead. You look at HBO Max, Disney Plus, Hulu, Paramount Plus,
Amazon Prime Video, they're all, they get you in, oh, it's $9.99. 6 months later, hey, we have the ad tier, then we have the basic tier, and then we have the premium tier where there's no ads. They reel you in.
Give me that.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for.
They'll get me.
I'm going for the premium tier. I ain't got time for these fucking commercials. I think that Paramount Plus was like, dude, we saw the numbers back in the day. Look at their numbers now. We don't give a fuck about pay-per-view points, pay-per-view buys. We just want as many subscribers as much. If we get, all these new subscribers to our platform, we already got the South Parks. We already got all the other people. Now if we get the sports side of it, it's just a huge win for Paramount Plus. Will they see their investment? I think Paramount Plus is only worth like $6.6 billion. So that deal from the UFC is worth more than Paramount Plus itself. But will they make that money back on the back end with the subscriber growth going to the premium tier, not just the basic tier? So we'll have to see.
I think they fucking, I hate the adverts. There's so many of them. I feel like we're being, like, I want to say sorry to the UFC sometimes that we witnessed a first round KO because now we're being waterboarded with 30 minutes of adverts. Like, sorry, we'll take a decision next time. Please stop. I don't want to watch any more adverts. Like, it really does get to that point with the UFC. So if they put out some kind of like ad-free mode, then that is A-okay with me, because I don't know what fucking business has somehow got away with that bullshit. Buying a pay-per-view, $80, and I'm still watching ads. Yeah. I'm not paying $80 because it's a different service in the UK. I'm paying to watch this.
Yeah.
I pay £5 for YouTube Premium. I'll never see an advert again.
Yep.
I pay $80 for this night of UFC fights. And every time there's a finish, there's half an hour of adverts. It's too much. If Paramount is listening, you can do better. You can change the advert game of the UFC, and I hope that they do. But the no pay-per-view part of it is a big part of it. Never a pay-per-view again, right?
Now, if that is the case, and you have pay-per-view points in your deal, you only start making money once you hit 200,000 pay-per-view buys. So there could be $1, it could be $1.50. I've heard it go up to $5, right? But
they call that the Nunes loophole.
Yeah, there you go.
That stopped them having to share any shares with Nunes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nunes, you've got to sell over 200K. Whoops.
Yeah. Well,
that was in the fine print.
Yeah, but that's how the pay-per-view points were structured back in when I was competing. And I don't think they got away from that. But if you sell 225,000 pay-per-views, you're getting a check for $25,000. So it's not really, oh, I need pay-per-view points. 250, same thing. I think they're getting away from that because the Conor is gone. Like, Conor was the biggest pay-per-view draw out there, doing 800,000 to 1.5 million draws, buys. So that's where the pay-per-view was a sexy model. But now the UFC doesn't really need to build stars, right? People are always going to tune in to UFC fights because, one, there's nothing else to fucking watch. And two, it's such a big brand. Like, you can have guys coming from Dana White's Contender Series and they say, oh, this guy's great. They go to the UFC, and then next thing you know, they're on the show, and people still, they might not, they don't buy it, right? So if you get to a point where it's like, hey, Paramount Plus, pay $9.99 a month, you get all the pay-per-views, perfect. You ain't got to worry about trying to hit that pay-per-view points every single month. So that's why I think they're okay getting away from the pay-per-view points. But if they do the White House card, is that going to be pay-per-view, or is that going to be on Paramount Plus? We'll find out, because that's next year. That's in 2026. That's next July.
Yeah, that's happening.
So
that's happening. Dana White said he would maybe bring it back for a one-off. So that would be the type of event where if you want to watch the White House card, you're not getting it for $10 a month.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
Yeah,
and I wonder what price they would put that. I wonder if it'd be higher. Like they do an $100 card if it was
$120 a month. Maybe. $120 to buy probably
for the card. Yeah, maybe. But the no pay-per-view thing though, that is something I really wanted to mention, because I'm scared. When I saw no pay-per-views, I was worried. Because it was the first thing I worried about when there was no more crowds. Because with that being your bottom line of you have to get people to part with $80 for you to be a successful business, it comes with a demand. Like, you have to supply a certain quality or you will not maintain that formula. And that has not been maintained. And maybe that's not been maintained and we're no longer doing pay-per-views because of how weak they've been recently. But I feel like when it's almost good to have the pay-per-view model in a way, and good to have big crowded events that are already plotted out, because it creates this sort of looming pressure on the company to be like, we got to sell out this fucking arena. We got to make sure this is an $80. We got to make sure people are willing to part with $80 for this card. Now they've taken that away and they're looking to expand the Apex now they're talking about, and they're not doing a pay-per-view anymore. I wonder if it's going to take away that pressure on them to deliver. I wonder if they are going to start churning it out. And this is what we've noticed over the past year when it comes to like, the mum and pop shop making their money, just churning out any old thing. I wonder if what we were experiencing for the past year was just the start of that. And it might go on in the future to be, they're just churning it out now because no matter the month, there's no difference. It's $10 a month. So you're getting $10 for this and you're getting $10 for that. What's the point in massively stacking a card if you're going to charge someone the same amount as the shitty card last month?
Well,
this is why I'm worried.
Yeah, I think for the hardcores, I think like you, Michael, the guys who are hardcore and they want banger after banger after banger, or just some more, thought process stacked cards. Yeah. I think you guys are going to get hit hard. I truly believe that. But I think, for my mom, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, I think they're going to be extremely happy because they're like, hey, I'm just watching fights. Like they watch everything under the sun, to PFL, to One Championship, to fucking Dana White Contender Series. They don't watch slap fighting. They watch everything. And they think the UFC is at its best point. Like they just think it's absolutely amazing, right? So I think the hardcore is going to get hit hard. And I think your everyday mom and pop shop, they're going to be loving business. They're going to be loving the content. They're going to be able to watch and see all the time. And, and then when they do finally put a stacked card together, they're like, oh, this is even better. We get a bonus and we're still paying $10.99. So I think with the UFC getting that $7.7 billion deal, I think the stress is going to be relieved off them. Hopefully out of that, fighter pay will go up. The only way we'll tell is when we get another athlete on here on the show and talk to them like, hey, what's your pay? You
noticed anything?
You notice any different? Like when I was a champion, I was making $350 at the show, 10,000 escalator, pay-per-view points at this point. That was back in 2017. Where are you at now in 2026 or 2027? What's the standard, are you getting $1 million? What is it going to be? So only time will tell.
Even a guy who makes his debut, I want to ask, how much you get for your debut now? What's the debut wage? Because it was 10 for 10. Now it's become 14 for 14 for the lower weight classes and kind of 20 for 20 for some of the higher weight classes. A lot of people say, it's 10 for 10. But if you look at some of the light heavyweights, they do get signed for something like 20 for 20, which is still quite low. So I wonder if they're going to change the standard or if they're going to just let it be a case-by-case basis based on the fighter. I wonder if they will raise the standard because I think they should. They should raise the standard just a tad with this. Yeah. Give them 20 for 20 and they're making their debut. It's not a crazy improvement. You're not doubling the wage. Just, I'd say sprinkle it out like that. Just give it a nice even thing. But I don't know if the UFC fighters are going to get any pay increase. It's a...
well, if history repeats itself, I don't think anybody got a pay increase when ESPN Plus was signed. So, we'll have to wait and see. But once again, we don't know if it's a cash deal or if it's stock. What exactly is that $7.7 billion deal?
Yeah. How much are the shareholders getting of this? Exactly. $7.7 billion. You know what I mean? Because that's what people need to. People hear business, they just giving them 7.7 billion cash.
Exactly.
I'm like, dude, there's some fucking absolute tyrant, bald, fat fuck somewhere. Like Dana White on HGH 2.0 wallowing in like mud going, where's my billion investment? Like these guys want their money back. They're down. Yeah. They're into the company. But like they're probably down hundreds of millions, some of these guys. So with these deals going on, a lot of it is to like appease certain people that have a stake, certain people that have this. So it's not all going to the UFC. It's not going to be on Dana's desk, this 7.7 billion. And he's going to go, this is for the fighters.
This is for fight night. This is fight night bonuses. This is, it's going to be, hopefully when we get closer to 2026, when they make that transition away from ESPN Plus and they're fully on Paramount Plus, hopefully we'll get more about the numbers of the deal. And I know once they announced that deal with Paramount Plus, the TKO stock went up, I think $8 to $9, and then Paramount Plus kind of stayed flat on as stock price. So, but because we're still waiting, they're still waiting to see how that deal is going to mature. Is it cash? Is it stock? And that will kind of give us more of an indicator of how the money can be allocated to the fighters.
Yeah. I wonder if there's a fighter, though. Last topic on this, on the fighter pay. I wonder if there's a fighter out there that signed a pay-per-view share deal, like just before this happened. Yep. Can you imagine? Because one of these new champions, like what if Elliott Tapuria for his Oliveira fight signed a nice 10% of the pay-per-view deal, and now he's just like, what the fuck? You guys you sign a 10% of all pay-per-views, they remove the pay-per-views. That probably happened.
Yeah.
I would imagine that has happened where a lot of these title fighters are now like, where's my fucking pay-per-view percentage going to come from, if, you know?
But this is so hard to see. We'll never know unless they come out and say like, hey, you know, and this is the thing. I think that, you know, it's a taboo in the sport where I would love for one of the guys goes, yeah, man, I have pay-per-view points, but you know what? The UFC did right by me. They came back and say, hey, you know, we're going to kind of like offset that pay-per-view points. We're just like, hey, you know, we haven't been really selling much pay-per-view, so we're going to give you like a, you know, $250,000 pay increase to, you know, offset, you know, $250,000 pay, you know, offset. So that means you would have to sell about 450,000 pay-per-view points, 450,000 buys pay-per-view. And they're like, we haven't got nowhere near that. So we're just going to go ahead and give you a nice incentive like, hey, my bad. Here's extra $250,000 on top of your show money. That's how I would do it, right? Because we don't know what Elliott Tapuria sold when he fought Charles Oliveira. We don't know, right?
Yeah, we don't. But Michael's saying GSP and Anderson Silva have been critical of this for that reason, because they made a lot of their money with the pay-per-view.
Yep.
I bet you Anderson's still getting paid for some pay-per-view.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
A lot of these guys, you know, Uriah Faber.
Yep.
He's probably cashing a check once a month still for some fight with Jose Aldo way back when. So it was a lot better for fighters back in the day if they were the pay-per-view star, of course.
Yes.
But I want to mention this. This could lead to the UFC revealing more pay while not paying more. Because the pay-per-view shares were never disclosed pay.
Yep.
But if to replace the pay-per-view shares that are no longer going to be a thing, the UFC starts increasing the fight purse to make up for it, then those numbers are released. So you may see something, to UFC fans out there, you're going to start seeing the purse, because we always get numbers back and it says 500K for Elliott Tapuria. And real ones know it's not 500K. No. That's his purse. He's probably making about 3 or 4 million or 2 million extra in the pay-per-view or whatever kind of deal he has. Because I bet you Elliott's making a couple mil a fight at this point.
I would like to think so.
At least making more than the 500K they're saying.
Yeah, 100%. But here's the tricky thing, right? It's like, if his deal's tied up with pay-per-view points, right? I get 500,000 a show and let's say I'm gonna give you a percentage of the pay-per-view, but you got to make that threshold. And if he doesn't make that threshold, they're not obligated to give him more, but they do, right? They do give, you know, incentive bonus. Hey, thanks, man. You fucking killed it. They do that, but you know, we'll never know truly what an athlete makes unless they come out and say like, hey, I fought for the UFC from this point to this point, and this is what I made, X, Y, and Z, right? Because we're always...
I just want to make sure the fan base is aware that when you next see the fighter pay disclosed for an event, it's all going to be show money.
Yep.
So you're not going to... You're going to see what was hidden, but they might show you less than what was actually hidden before. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Maybe it's a weird thing to understand, but I think that's understandable.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
when they're going to show you the purse.
Yep.
And they've always shown you the purse, but now it's all purse.
Yes.
So it's going to look way more, and the headlines are going to be, this one's now making 2 million, 3 million.
That's what they're making before.
That guy could have been making 4 or 5.
Yep.
This guy could have been making 4 or 5 before, and we didn't know that before, but now we know it. They might get away with making us feel like these guys are getting paid more, but they're actually not. So yeah. Anyway,
okay. That. But I tell you, another thing that blew my fucking mind was Charles Oliveira quick turnaround after getting sent to the shadow realm. So for people to understand, when you get knocked out, like Charles did, you at least need 3 months of no contact of getting hit, right? I think his next fight is in October, right? October. And in Rio. And that's like a 5-week turnaround.
Yeah.
That's like, I don't know who's in his camp. One, what commission is allowing that, right? It's like
the Brazilian commission.
Well, I mean,
but I don't know if he's getting this fight in Vegas. You know what I mean? Like, I doubt it.
Yeah. And it's like, people don't realize, like, when you get knocked out, you need time for your brain to recover. You need time to let your body shake off that fucking traumatic brain injury that just happened. But the fact that he's going out there 5 weeks later, it's just fucking like the fact that this is happening, it's like literally blowing my fucking mind. It's like, why would Charles do that? Like if he's not fighting some slouch. He's not fighting, some guy who's just gonna try to grapple him. He's fighting fucking Fiziev, who's gonna like try to knock him out again, right? Like this could be a fight-ending career for Charles Oliveira. Only reason why it's just like medically wise, this is just not smart. It's not smart. Like you need time. Like, okay, so let's say the fight's in, I need to look it up because I want to make sure I get my
October the 11th.
It's October 11th, right?
October 11th.
So when did he get knocked out? That was...
Let me go through his career real quick for you.
Yeah. I feel like he got knocked out in July. That was July, correct?
Yeah, it was July for UFC 317.
Yeah, so he gets knocked out in July. So July, August, September. That's 8.
No, it was June. The very end of June, 28th of June, he gets knocked out by Elliott. Okay. October the 11th, he's fighting Rafael Fiziev.
Okay, so let's just say July 1st is the first day of him on that kick to get healthy again, right? July, August, September. Okay, so September 1st, he could start sparring. He could start like actually getting hit, moving around, and get himself ready, right? So September 1st. So September, he basically has a 4-week camp, not even 4 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks to get ready for.
You got to think about the weight cut.
And the weight cut.
He makes a big weight cut. Yeah.
I don't fucking like it. I don't like it at all.
I hate it. This reminds me of Jamal Hill, Yuri Prohaska getting booked so soon after the Alex Pereira KO loss.
Yep.
Where when guys get KO'd, there's a bitterness to the fact that they've been knocked out, and it's almost like, I'll shake it off.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they got shown a technical aspect they need to work on, and then maybe like Dricus du Plessis, he may want to get right back in there, but he may think, take 6 months, I've got to work on some intricate wrestling things, and I've got to add some crinkles to my game. But when you get knocked out like that, there's almost this, I'll show them.
Yeah,
I'll get right back in there because it's such a bad loss to have. But it reminds me of the Jamal Hill Yuri thing because he took that like 3 months after the Pereira loss.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, and you said it when you were mapping out the weeks. To me, people say, dude, it's 3 months. Who's got 3 months? To me, it's not how soon after you get knocked out are you going to be in the octagon again.
Yeah.
To me, it's how soon after you're knocked out are you going to be hard sparring in the gym again.
Yes.
That's the major thing. So what you got to do is when you see these turnarounds, is you got to deduct 8 weeks.
Yep.
Because that's training camp.
Yep.
Or 7 weeks, however long they want to go for. So what we're really seeing is about a month after Oliveira got flatlined, he's hard sparring in the gym.
Yep.
And again, I guess that's the argument on whether or not you think that's sensible or not. But I don't think it is. And I think the fact that this is in Rio reeks of retirement, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think the fact that when it comes to getting knocked out, you need at least even when I got knocked out, they said 3 months of not even let your heart get elevated. Like you need to just be, they're like, you got knocked the fuck out. Not as bad as Oliveira did. You got knocked out.
Yep.
3 months of no contact, 3 months of not getting your heart rate up. So if he was to take that serious, the medical part of, getting knocked out, concussed serious, that's 3 months of just sitting on your ass. Just, you can drill, you can go through the motions and all that stuff, but it's not a training camp. So September 1st, he was okay, we're starting training camp. We have a 4-week training camp plus the weight cut. That's not a fucking training camp. That's like, hey, we're going to Rio. We're going to make it happen. So maybe the protocol of getting knocked out has been changed. But last time I checked, the brain hasn't changed over the years. No. Right? It's not like the brain is like, oh, guys, in the recent studies, we realized that if you get knocked out, you can only wait 1 month and you'll be fine. No. So I'd be kind of curious to see what the thinking is. I would love to know the thinking behind that. Like, I would love to hear if Charles like, I got knocked out. I don't think it was a big deal. So yeah, fuck it. I'm gonna turn around and fight as soon as possible. Or I'm like, you're not worried about CTE? I don't know. When I just saw that, I was just like, what the fuck is There's that. I was like, what the fuck is going on here, right? So that was a big thing that I wanted to. I saw you said something too. You're like, who is the manager of?
Who the fuck is managing Charles Oliveira? And Paulo Costa replied, "It's me, motherfucker." And after that's what Paulo Costa said. He said, "It's me, motherfucker." And after this, we're putting him against Alex Pereira or some shit like that. Like, I think he just, but yeah. But I was saying, who the fuck is Oliveira's manager? But I reckon this Oliveira decision is not a fight career decision. This is it's in Brazil.
Yeah.
And when you think about, okay, it's in Brazil, you think, okay, they don't go there very often.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time they were in Brazil. I think it was for like Glover versus Jamal Hill, which was a long, oh no, maybe, but that might have been the same time as Figueiredo versus Moreno on the same card. So I think it was like a few years ago now.
Yeah.
That they last went to Brazil, at least over a year ago. So I think Oliveira is looking at this and thinking, when are they ever going to be back in Brazil?
Yep.
When are they going to be back in Rio? I'm a big name in Brazil. He's probably got businesses in Brazil.
Yep.
He might have a shop chain opened up in Rio, and this is good for him. And he can capitalize more on his ability as a star to make money outside of the octagon when his fight is in Brazil than when it is in America, I think, because that's where his fan base is. So I reckon this could be a business move for him. You never know if he's signing some kind of deal with some Brazilian business, and a part of that is, look, dude, I'll fight on that next Brazil card and bring all that tourism and all that traffic over, and because it's going to be a big card, right? This Brazil card is what they're talking about, but it also could be retirement.
Yep.
It also could be, listen, I've had a long career. I don't know when they're going to be back in Brazil. There's one right there. I reckon I can beat Fiziev. It's not like Fiziev has don't get hit by in power like Elliott does. In fact, Fiziev, and maybe this is one of the reasons why Oliveira would take this matchup after being KO'd more than others, is that Fiziev is actually a weird example of a guy who looks like he hits really hard, but typically doesn't knock people out and drop them. So I honestly think Oliveira could win it, which is the weird thing. I just wish I could go into it with the confidence knowing that this was a fully prepared, healthy, sensible Charles Oliveira. And I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I'm not mad about the matchup. I'm just mad about how soon of a quick turnaround it is. I just want to see him healthy. I think a lot of athletes take for, I mean, there's a double-edged sword. I think a lot of athletes take for granted their health of like, okay, like, yeah, I'm a fighter. Yeah, my job is to get hit. But when you get fucking knocked out, give yourself time where it's like, I'm going to fucking chill. I'm going to chill. It's not like the UFC is going anywhere. Yes, there's that, that shiny, not potential, but the opportunity to fight in Brazil. But there's going to be more opportunities to fight around the world, right? That's just my biggest thing is that I think a lot of fighters, but then there's the other side, how much longer does he have in the tank? How much more gas do you have in the tank, right? And like you said, maybe this is his last chance he can fight in Brazil before he retires. So I don't know. I just think a lot of athletes don't look after their health when they get knocked out. And I was hoping that that wasn't, I just wish this wasn't being booked so soon. That's all.
Yeah. I think the fighters need to take this advice of, I've always thought this, like, live life now like you're looking back on it in the future. Because in the moment, everything seems the right decision to make. Everything, and based on emotion and the way you're feeling in the moment, Oliveira needs to take I would have advised Oliveira, if I was his manager or advisor, I'd say, listen, I know you want to do this. I need you to think, what would 60-year-old Charles Oliveira look back and wish he did in this situation? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If he could choose to go back and change some things, what would he choose to do?
Yeah.
And 60-year-old Charles Oliveira would, who knows, based on how this result goes, there's a good chance he'll be looking back and thinking, fuck, I messed up my whole career with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I messed it up. So who knows? But that's the Charles Oliveira thing. But there's been a lot of Brazil cards. They've had Pantoja Erceg, which was on May the 4th, 2024.
Yep.
But it's been over a year, so you never know when this is going to come back around again. Another year and a half from now, probably. So it could be retirement stuff. Death sentence, though. Let's talk about the big matchup that just took place.
Damn it.
And now we're done with all these other shit ones.
Yeah. It was good. Death, he should have won that fight. He should have beat Zachary. I think Death had all the training that he needed besides the cardio aspect of it. And when he got his back, he climbed his back like a fucking spider monkey, tried to grab it, banana off the, tree. And he just couldn't lock up that choke. And we worked it. We worked it literally 24 hours before the fight. And, I think he got confused of like, when I watched the fight and I broke it down, he was pushing the nose, but his hand was here trying to grab here, but it was here. And he just didn't do it. I'm like, fuck. And he gassed himself out, man. He gassed himself out. So I wasn't upset. I was just happy that he still continued to train, and he took on a guy who could take some shots, right? Like when I sat down to him, I was like, "Okay, you need to submit him because he's gonna eat all your shots." And you know, he came up short, man. He came up short.
Yeah. Were you going through Zachary fight footage?
Yes.
And beforehand, breaking it down. What did you watch? The one where he like slapped the glasses off that old man's head, or what was the? Because he kind of, if I didn't know any better, I would think Zachary had some hands. Yeah. And he kind of did know what he was doing with the boxing a bit in a way.
Yeah, when he fought the boxer, that's the video we watched because that was like the only fight he actually fought in like a sanctioned event where it's okay, bro.
He fought before.
And he fought. It was like a kind of like a, you know, I'm gonna fight a bare knuckle fighting champion. And he did good. He took some shots. You know, he didn't do any damage to the other guy, but he was able to take some shots. I was like, okay, that's the key. He could take a shot. So Death's got to have to put him away. But I'm not going to lie. When I saw Zachary in the flesh when we were there, I was like, Death's going to fuck him up. I was like, Death is going to destroy him. I was like, I was so overconfident in Death. I was like, Death's got this, man. I told Death, just don't give up. And he goes, I won't, master. And then he just gassed himself out, you know? He's got to start running, man. He's got to start fucking running.
He's got to start mixing up. But Zachary looks like almost like a... he's such a live action, like Disney nerd look to him. You know what I mean? I don't know who he is as a person, but he does look that way, right? Like he should be like looking after Stuart Little or something. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, Zachary, you know, he had some decent hands. And you saw as the fight went on there, he was literally just watching Deaths like do more, like keep throwing because you're going to gas out here.
Yep.
One thing we need to work on though, DJ, if we're going into another matchup here with Death Sentence, we got to stop throwing punches like that.
I've been working on it, man. I've been working on it. I said, hey, I'll say this though. I said, hey, 1-2, and he got the 1-2 right. And then I said, do it again, and he went 2-1, and he fucked himself. And I was like, God damn it.
Well, you know, progress from him immediately going 2-1. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a decent performance. One thing we got to discuss this more because he was not knocked out, dude.
He wasn't.
He did not get hit by a punch that knocked out, dude. He was tired and he like flopped to the ground. He found a way, like, oh, this will be considered a finish, and just laid there on the ground, in my opinion.
Well, I think it was good the ref stopped it, right? Because obviously we knew he was done, right? I think maybe one shot got in there, but he lost due to exhaustion. Right? Because if Zachary would have followed up and he was just laying there like that, those shots could have been, you know,
very bad.
Yeah. We always talk about how the refs, you know, when people get dropped and then the ref, you know, allows the athlete to keep on punching on him while he's just fucking out of it. It could have been that situation for Death. Right. So, you know, shout out to the ref for saving Death's life in that aspect.
Yeah. What was the whole, I want you to know, because I know how you might feel about this. We're all on your side about the crash out, by the way. Okay. When Winged C was kind of getting heated, we're all on your team because we watched that and it was like, yeah, put him in his place a little bit.
Shut the fuck up. Shut up.
Yeah. Like there is a point where it's like, this is goofy fun time.
Yep.
But you're also Demetrious Johnson and you're taking time out of your day to do this. And yes, it's for content, but it's also because I'm assuming you have some kind of liking of these guys and you want to help them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think one, it wasn't my proudest moment on the internet. I'm not going to lie. Because I came home, I was very emotional because when things are going in the act and you do something, you're like, I should have never done that before. Like I almost felt like how Sean Strickland beats up all these, you know, content creators. And for me, you guys saw maybe, you know, we shot 3 days. We shot Thursday, Friday, Saturday with those guys. We shot 3 days content with these guys, jiu-jitsu, sparring. I held pads with these guys, broken down video. So the continuum of chat, hey chat, and there's no chat just really fucking got to me, right? And one thing was when I think what works so well for my channel is that when we have an idea and we set out to execute it, I'm focused on giving my passion, my heart, everything in to what I'm doing. And it's up for Michael and Nick to make it look sexy, right? So just the ongoing of the chat and him doing it, and they call me good boy, and me being black and him being Caucasian. It just,
I know. It's not like you hate how it feels, but it's like this looks like he's taking advantage of your kindness, of your stoicism there.
Yeah.
Until a breaking point in a weird way.
Yeah.
But I want you to know that when we watched it, you know, I know Lucas Tracy made a video on this, and I made a response to it as well. Not on a video, but I was talking about it on stream. It was obvious. And you didn't come across like a Sean Strickland, because that head kick, you know, you put a little stank on it, but you weren't trying to take his head off. You were just trying to show him, like, I can turn this up to 20% from 5% if you want me to. Like, let's not take advantage of my kindness here. So I want you to know that even though there was a heated moment, we're all completely understanding of that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I came home. I was very emotional. Like, I can't believe I got angry there, but hey, it happens. Yeah.
I thought it was warranted.
Easy texts me. Easy goes, I'm so glad you still had that Venom. I was like, it's not good to have it. He goes, nah, you still need that shit in you, dog. You still do. And I was like, but it's just, like I said, I don't, like, that's why I knew, like, I'm happy I retired, because when I would fight, I would go to that dark place each time I would fight. And it's a very emotional, it's very emotional to do that, right? Like, my wife, she says, I'm so glad you don't fight because you're such a better person. You're you speak more, you're more emotional. Like, when you were fighting in the thick of things, you were like a brick fucking wall. Like, you would not show any emotion. And then she goes, I understand why, because you were literally going to the gym to fucking hurt people all the time and be systematic. So me coming home feeling that way, she was like, what's wrong? What happened? I was like, I'll talk about it when I'm ready to. So yeah, I'm just a different person. I mean, I can still go there, but like, I just don't want to go there anymore. So. I
mean, hey, but shout out to Winged C though, dude. He is actually pretty good. That's what Winged C pretty good.
He just fought.
Which is the difference.
Yeah, he just fought, and he became a champion over in a promotion over in the East Coast, and he won. And he's good. I don't think he's bad. I think he's very good. He's very confident on his feet. He has power. If he just takes it a little,
he's not scared.
He's not scared.
He's not scared.
Right?
Yep.
If he just takes it a little more seriously, okay, I'm good about making people miss. How can I get to a point where I make them miss and I capitalize on them? And I worked with them. Like, after the next day, they didn't show this part, but after the next day, me, Wing C, we made up. I said, hey man, I apologize. Didn't mean to go that far. I don't plan on using that content. Michael goes, what are you talking about? That was actually really great. We're going to use that. And I was like, we don't have to, I don't want to display that. And Wing C was like, no, I'm actually going to post it on my channel to get the clicks and views. I'm like, hey, if that's what you want to do, fucking do it. But we made up, and then I helped corner him, and I was like, hey man, make sure you move, do this, X, Y, and Z. So it was, I want the best for him and Death, not, their demise. I don't want them to fucking fail. I want them to succeed.
Yep. Shout out to those two, dude. Death Sentence and Winged C, dude. It's a good little project that you've got. Are you going to continue and do more episodes with them?
If they ask me to, because I think a lot of people on the internet think that I reach out to them like, hey, you want to? We should do this. When they came here, I said, hey, do you want to train? If you don't want to train, we do not have to train. We don't have to create content, right? But they say, hey, I'm coming back out to Washington State. Can we train? I'm like, absolutely. Are you okay with me film the content? They say yes, we're going to run it. But if they're like, nah, we don't want to do anymore, that's perfect. But I want them to do more. Death has to do more cardio. Wing C has to be more focused in the training act and not focus on clip farming. So I'll be totally down.
Clip farming.
Yes,
clip farming. Crazy. Trailer Park Yuri Praska, they're calling him. I think it's very accurate. Very accurate, by the way. They're saying it's Guru Training Arc next. Because they're saying Schmitty wouldn't fight me for 55K. O'Malley and Tim Welch were saying that, and then Schmitty started calling me a bully, and then we're talking about a boxing match.
Oh shit!
So is Guru Training Arc next someday, dude?
Well, hey, if you come out here, you give me 2 weeks boxing. We'll get you a nice place. I'll work with you for 2 weeks as a box out.
Okay. That'd work. So, and trust me, I'd know my 1-2 at least. I don't know if I can promise anything too great, but I think I can get the 1-2 down.
You fucking better. You fucking better.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure I can. Anyway.
Oh shit, brother. I think
Should we wrap that up?
I think we wrap it up. I think we covered everything. I think we got more stuff down the line. I mean, it sucks because, we won't have a pay-per-view in September. So we'll take a month, unless we want to get back together. Maybe we should get back together after the Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. I think we should get back together, chop it up, see how things are going. And, you know, what do you think about that fight, though? Terence Crawford taking on Canelo Alvarez. Are you a big boxing fan?
Oh, yeah. I'm amped for it. I do see it as it's a big fight, but it's not, to me, it's not a
MMA.
It's not an MMA fight. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why. But two, I don't have any like personal attachment to either of them.
Mm-hmm.
With Usyk, I've been watching Usyk for a long time. So I kind of like Usyk. So when he was and Fury, you know, I see him coming up in the UK. When I'm a kid, Fury's around. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm seeing him as the big boxing guy. But with Terence Crawford and Canelo, I've never really like paid attention to any of them as people.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a huge fucking fight. Two big dogs of the sport right now. I just think there's almost like a level of weight class difference where it does have a silly connotation to it. But I also think that's also an added narrative to where it can be extra great if Terence Crawford were to be able to pull this off, which I think he has a solid chance of doing.
Yeah.
Crawford. What do you think about the matchup?
I think it's pretty dope. I think Canelo Alvarez, he's been one of my favorite boxers to watch for a very long time. His fight with Canelo Alvarez taking on Miguel Cotto, and then going up each division and just knocking people out left and right. And then the Triple G fights, those are great fights as well. I think Terence Crawford, I didn't know much about him, but I started watching all his highlights. I did some video breakdown. Very good closer. He's very good southpaw. Once he hurts the person, he's able to put them away. And he's willing. He's up for the challenge. He's up for trying to take out Canelo Alvarez. And we'll see. And it's free on Netflix, so I'm definitely going to watch that and do some video content around it.
I'm looking forward to Canelo versus Crawford because I think Crawford's got a solid shot.
Yeah, I think
he's a very, very good technical boxer. And Canelo recently in his career has been letting fights like stale out. Like he's sort of winning fights off of a knockdown or two or a big round for himself here. So I feel like if there's ever a time where a smaller guy in Crawford or just smaller guy, I don't even know if he's shorter, but if a smaller guy like Crawford, now's the time to get Canelo, I think.
Yep.
Because a lot of people are beating Canelo before they chin him. You know, I remember watching Amir Khan. I'm thinking, oh my God, Amir Khan is schooling this guy. And then boom, he gets slept out cold by Canelo. So I think it's just going to be that. It's going to be Crawford winning, and then we'll see what happens because he could get flatlined, he could get dropped. And that's the excitement, right? So I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, I agree. Well, my friend.
Yeah, and on the topic of Canelo Crawford, if you guys were interested in tickets, I wanted to show you guys something and just react to this.
I'm not here to tell you to follow Zuffa Boxing for your chance to win free tickets to Canelo versus Crawford. And I'm definitely not here to tell you to buy your tickets to Canelo versus Crawford. Or tell you that it's going to be the greatest boxing event of the year. Now, why would I do that? These jeans make my ass look amazing. And so will yours. If you're sitting next to Dana White, if you follow Zuffa Boxing for your chance to win free tickets to Canelo versus Crawford, the greatest boxing event of the year. See what I did there?
Dana White has great seats.
Go ahead, Guru.
What are you doing, dude? Go ahead, Guru. Yeah, I know, dude. Go ahead, Guru. I mean, you guys are taking my video ideas. I was going to do a whole video on this topic if we want to get into it. I was going to do a whole video being like, what the fuck is the promotional angle with the UFC and Nina White? I get it. Tits, sex. It's cool. That's the way the UFC's promoting the fights. I don't know. It's a weird situation. I get it though. She's got tits. Hey, I think it's all weird though. I think it's a weird way of promoting fights.
Hey, you know what? We should all be happy for Nina. We should be happy for her. She's making great money doing it. You know what? I didn't know. You know what? It is what it is. They're going to promote the best they can. And I'm excited to see your video on it because I want to watch your video when you do it. Because for me, yeah, it is what it is.
The methods of which you choose to promote the combat sport with are a connotation of the combat sport. Like it becomes like I don't know how to describe the way I'm saying this, but whatever you promote the UFC with, it becomes the UFC.
Yep.
So if it's just silly shit like that, and I don't even know, that's not the problem that I have. If Nina Drum wants to do a good jeans advert, she does. You know, she's got some nice tits. So fair play, she can do that. But when it's like, I was seeing a stream, and this is what I'm probably going to make a video on, where she was like sniffing Alex Pereira's feet on live stream. Mm-hmm. And Alex Pereira was like showing her feet to the camera. And then Arman Sarukian had like a knife to her neck in one of them as well. And then when Nina would bend over, he would like put his hand on the back of her head. And it's just like, you're kind of ruining these guys in my image of them as like these stoic badasses. You know what I mean? That is true though. Like I see these guys as like these stoic badasses. Yeah. And this isn't just a Nina thing, but this is just a way of promotion in general. Yeah. It feels like their main goal is to make them do silly, goofy / now degenerate shit. And I'm like, dude, this guy used to be a really cool badass to me. Yeah. And now he's the guy that I just saw like sniffing Nina's feet on live stream. And it's just like, dude, how am I supposed to get hyped up for the Ankalaev rematch? You know? It ain't even that advert. She can do the good jeans thing if she wants. But I'm like, dude, I'm trying to get hyped up for Arman versus Ilya. Is that going to be in the fucking promo piece? Yeah. Arman Savage, he's an absolute dangerous guy. And it's just him holding a knife to Nina's neck. And like, I don't know. I feel like they should stop ruining the aura of our absolute savages with this silly, goofy, fucking degenerate shit, please.
Well,
That's my opinion.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to have Michael find that video of him sniffing Nina's feet, and I want to play it before you watch his fight. I want you to watch it. Okay.
No, I don't want it. But I don't know, he's there and they're messing with Nina's feet, and then he's got his feet up, and I'm just like, oh, what? We're just, and I always get heated about this. We're just like goon baiting teenagers on Twitter. Like, that's genuinely what this comes down to. When you post that type of advert, the only positive interaction you're going to get is from like creepy old men. Yeah. Or just like teenagers and I feel like that's just such a morally yucky way of promoting the UFC, in my opinion. But she can do her thing, and hey, I'm not going to get angry at sex appeal. She's got nice tits. Fair play.
Yeah. All right. Well, man, Guru, it's always nice to chop it up with you, man. And yeah, we will see you guys at the next episode of The Mighty Guru.